Some moments deserve more than ordinary jewelry. At Sartor Heyman, we've helped Lincoln celebrate life's biggest occasions for over 120 years. With quality craftsmanship, timeless gifts, and diamonds you can see from across the room. From our exclusive Heartland collection to custom design pieces, every detail is made with care by experienced jewelers you can trust. Whether you're celebrating love, family, milestones, Sartor Heyman has a gift for every occasion in life.
A membership with John Henry's will fast-track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air,
and electrical.
Play ball! Some places just feel like home. In Lincoln, that place is Haymarket Park. For 25 seasons, it's where we gather with friends, with family, and our out-of-towners who want that same warm welcome. It's where kids catch their first foul ball, where we're all neighbors for at least 9 innings. Because when Salt Dogs fans root for our home team, there isn't a single stranger in the stands. So come one, come all, and let your local tradition play on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
Hi, I'm Kendall Warnock, owner of A1 Automotive. When it comes to your vehicle, trust matters. At A1 Automotive, we believe in honest inspections, clear communication, and quality repairs done the first time. Whether you drive a BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Porsche, our team is committed to keeping you safe on the road. A1 Automotive, where integrity drives everything we do. Please visit us at 5110 State Hill Drive or give us a call, 402-267-4660. Always honest answers.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and new Sierra and Silverado trucks continue to roll in, and August is a great time to upgrade. Right now, get new GMC Sierras for under $50,000 or get 2.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,500 bonus cash. Visit us in Louisville or anytime at koppelcars.com. Stock number G306367 with approved credit.
Husker fans know a strong game plan makes all the difference, no matter where they cheer from. The dedication fans bring every season is the same dedication that builds long-term financial success. That's why Emeritus connects fans across the country with financial professionals who can help them plan, prepare, and move toward their goals. As a proud partner of Husker Athletics, Emeritus supports fans in every corner of the country because great fans deserve a great future. Emeritus, fulfilling life, fueled by Husker pride. Go to emeritus.com/Husker Wealth for more information.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped and picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Hour one of Old School is sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Good Thursday morning, beautiful people. Welcome in to Old School Thursday edition of the show. Austin Orman with you, and a shout out from Eric on the text line to my man Jay on the clock 24/7. Foreman, hope you're doing well. Jay is doing well because he's on the golf course today. That's right. Jay Foreman on the golf course. He's not here. So, Eric, your text is for not. We'll pass along your greeting to Jay, though. It's a whole ticket representation, whole ticket crew out there on the course today. We have Jake Sorensen going out there. Obviously, Jay Foreman out there. And then in the pit, Jason Peter and Grant Wistrom will be headed out there to take part in a fun tournament. Excited for those guys. And yes, Eric, it is indeed typical. So I am holding down the fort for an hour or so before I will be joined by Jake Bachhoven. And we have lots to get to here in this first hour and really all throughout the course of the show. First and foremost, though, need to give a big thank you, a big shout out to the good folks over at Graham Tire Company. They're celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. They're more than just tires. They do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire getting you to the places that matter most. I really appreciate Graham Tire. They've given me a couple oil changes, make the car run nice and smooth. They also shut my check engine light on with some quick and easy repairs. So really, truly do appreciate them for everything they've done for me, keeping my vehicle running smooth on the road. And I know they will do the same for you. Don't forget, if you do stop by Graham Tire, take a selfie, take a picture, whatever, come in, show us, give you some ticket swag, right? When you support local businesses that support us, everyone wins, plain and simple. So we'll hook you up if you hook up our sponsors with your business. I know they appreciate it. I know we appreciate it. Thomas and Lincoln, we will get to your text. This is a fun one. Outside of Nebraska games, what games are y'all looking forward to in the first 3 weeks of the season? We will certainly get back to that. Nebraska Volleyball opens up its season with a couple exhibitions, right? It spikes under the lights. I know Jake just mentioned the DP is out there for that down in the heart of Texas. And then he'll be jumping over to Vegas for volleyball players era. And then, of course, Nebraska Volleyball will also take on Missouri in the Big Ten SEC Challenge match going on at Wrigley Field. So we will talk a little bit of Nebraska Volleyball here in this first hour. Tony Petiti receives a 5-year extension from the Big Ten through 2033. What does that mean for him? What does that mean for the conference? What does that mean for college athletics? And then when Bach gets here, we'll get into a lot of college football topics as well. Nebraska being among the most bet win total overs so far this year from one betting outlet. So we'll get into that. What happens correctly if Nebraska goes over the 5.5 projected wins? What goes incorrectly? What goes wrong? What crashes and burns for Nebraska if they win 5 games or fewer? Sleeper player from Nebraska's roster for a breakout season as listed by ESPN earlier today. We'll get into that. And then Thomas Castellanos commits to Texas Tech. Obviously, I know Bach will have some thoughts on that, but who will you remember as the biggest villain of the 2025-26 college football offseason? We'll have that discussion and more eligibility stuff going on. So we will talk about that. At the end of the show, I know I have ranted or monologued, however it is you want to describe it, about that toward the end of the show yesterday. But we had the Big 12 pass some rules that seemed like it could have impacted some of its top players. And then you also get into SEC intra-conference transferring that rule, rearing its ugly head again, really for Mark Pope and the Kentucky Wildcats. And so we will certainly get into that throughout the course of the show. As always, you can be a part of the proceedings, 402-464-5685. That is the number to our starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Thomas and Lincoln, we'll just give you 3 week 1 games. How about that? As opposed to just the non-conference. 3 week 0 or 3 week 1 games that y'all are looking forward to here before Nebraska kicks off against Ohio. Thomas, give me your 3 games as well here for the first few weeks. I think if you look at week 0, the headlining game to me is going to be Memphis and UNLV, which might be an odd one, maybe under the radar for some people, but both of those teams should have a pretty decent chance to be the group of 5 representative in the college football playoff. UNLV, Dan Mullen, we know the success the Rebs had last year. Obviously, their starting quarterback is gone and is here in Lincoln, that being Anthony Calandria. Memphis loses its head coach, but retains plenty of talent for a team that's been around the picture for the better part of the last 4 or 5 years. So that's going to be a fun one. That's a 9 o'clock Central game on Fox from Las Vegas coming up here on Saturday. Carolina TCU, intriguing for any number of reasons. The Bill Belichick saga, everything going on with that program. Steve Belichick being on personal leave. Michael Lombardi, the GM, being on personal leave. But they're not the only drama-filled program right now, as TCU has barred reporters from, I think it's the Star Telegram, from covering practice or covering games. They didn't like how the reporting went down about the fight in the locker room that led to a player getting arrested for assault and then subsequently being kicked off the team. And so TCU is fighting with credentialed media that's covered the Frogs for a long time. So there's plenty of drama going on. Oh, and by the way, that game's taking place over in Dublin, Ireland. So you have all the hijinks and everything that ensues from that. And I believe we are, 4 years out now from the day of the fated onside kick that will live forever in Nebraska infamy. 4 years already it's been since Scott Frost decided to pull the onside kick. 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, trying to put the dagger in the heart, and instead swung and missed. And Northwestern, of course, comes back to win that game to open up the 2022 season. Jacksonville State, North Dakota State, also kind of a fun matchup there in the lower levels in the Fargo Dome. Pretty fun Jacksonville State team last year. North Dakota State obviously making the leap up to FBS football. You have NC State at Virginia. That's intriguing. ACC game that's not an ACC game. I don't believe that's a conference game. I think it's a non-conference game, if I recall the reporting around that correctly. And then as we get into the week 1 slate, Thursday, you have Colorado at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech 6.5-point favorites. Obviously, the Jackets lose quite a bit. Colorado in its fair share of turmoil in this point of the season as well right now. Then you have UAB and Illinois. Idaho and Utah won't hold my attention. Eastern Illinois, Minnesota won't necessarily. Maybe Akron can shock the world as 23.5-point underdogs against Wake Forest, but probably not. How about this, though? Bethune-Cookman at UCF. A Scott Frost Bowl of sorts. Of course, Bethune-Cookman, the first team that Scott Frost beat as the head coach at Nebraska. They traveled to the bounce house, and they are 43-point underdogs. 43-point underdogs, Bethune-Cookman. We'll see if they can shock the world. UMass and Rutgers also on Thursday. Friday, Indiana State, Purdue. That was one of Purdue's 1 wins a couple of years ago. San Jose State will go from playing USC to playing Eastern Michigan. That's a heck of a difference there. Both games on the road for the Spartans. You get Oklahoma hosting UTEP. You get Miami at Stanford and Fresno State at USC. Some late night football coming up a week from tomorrow. Thomas and Lincoln says Toledo versus Michigan State. Michigan State favored by 10. That's a darn solid Toledo program, though. And so are we on upset alert in Pat Fitzgerald's first game in East Lansing? We will certainly see. That's an interesting one. Texas versus Texas State. And then Tennessee versus, I believe you're saying Furman there, Thomas and Lincoln. But yeah, I think that Miami-Stanford game, Miami 24.5-point favorites on the road, but ACC After Dark, new look Stanford team, week 1. Are there any kinks for Miami here to work out and work through with Darian Mensah in a starting quarterback? That is an immensely, immensely talented roster that's returning to Coral Gables off a national runner-up finish last year. How much better, if at all, is Stanford under new leadership? Andrew Luck, of course, the general manager. Frank Reich gone from his 1-year post in charge of Stanford to being the offensive coordinator for the Jets. I'm not calling my shot. I'm not calling an upset. I'm just saying watch out. I think that could be either a laugher or it could be interesting later than you might think. A tenure defining game potentially for the new Stanford staff early on in that one. We've seen, teams better than Miami stumble the next year in their quest to return to the college football playoff and national championship game. I don't have any major worries. Again, I'm not calling an upset pick there for Miami or Stanford over Miami on the road, but you never know. Wacky things happen out there on the left coast after dark. Then Fresno State, USC. I don't think USC is in any real danger, but a fun little regional game. That's before we even get in to Saturday rather. North Texas, having lost everybody, goes to Indiana. Would have been a fun matchup last year. Obviously, favor the Hoos and the way that season went down. But North Texas at Indiana is kind of fun. Oregon State at Houston, top 23 Houston. How real were the Cougars last year? That's a program that won a bunch of tight games that probably overperformed their expected record. Are they able to put the foot on the gas again this year and challenge for the Big 12 title? That'll be a fun one to watch. Liberty and James Madison, fun mid-major kind of battle. Miami of Ohio and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh not ranked in the top 25 before the year. Youngstown State and Kentucky. Would have been a fun Mark Stoops Bowl, except that Mark Stoops is no longer the head coach at Kentucky. It's Will Stein, former Oregon offensive coordinator. Boise State at Oregon. That's a game the Broncos push the Ducks a little bit in Boise. They get the return trip. That'll be the 2:30 CBS game coming up a week from Saturday. Oregon 24.5-point favorites entering as the number 2 team in the preseason polls. What does Boise look like? That's always a big question year over year. New look Pac-12 team there in Boise State as well. That was a game before. Curious to see if it can be a game again. How about this? What would have been the Darien Mensa Bowl, Tulane and Duke? That'll be an intriguing mid-afternoon matchup. Not at the level, I would say, of that 2:30 Boise, Oregon game, but former Darien Mensa Bowl, Boston College and Cincinnati, recreating some of the old Big East in some ways. That's kind of fun. Less so on the football field. Oklahoma State travels to Tulsa, a Tulsa team that has knocked off the Cowpokes in the past, and that's a team that certainly has done its fair share of rebuilding with Eric Morris and company on staff, and then through the transfer portal, led, of course, by Drew Mestemaker, former North Texas quarterback. How about this? Northern Illinois at Iowa. Iowa 31.5-point favorites as the Northern Illinois head coach jumps to the pros. Not to be a head coach, but to be an assistant running backs coach. So a little bit of drama over the offseason there for the Huskies. Could they pull off a shocker? Of course, the Huskies have come to Lincoln and won before. They've gone to South Bend and beat Notre Dame as well. They can beat those teams. I'd give them a chance against pretty much anybody. Not that that was a great Nebraska team necessarily, but hey, it's been done before. So Northern Illinois, middle of the afternoon on Saturday. Can they shock the world once again? Getting into the nighttime slate, Austin P at Vanderbilt. Okay, Nichols at Kansas State. Not moving the needle for me big time. Clemson LSU, probably the big nighttime kickoff. Dabo Swinney, Lane Kiffin. That game being played in Baton Rouge. I was going to say it was going to be played in Tiger Stadium. That would not narrow it down, as it's Tigers versus Tigers. Orange and purple versus purple and yellow in Baton Rouge. LSU, number 11 team in the country against unranked Clemson, opens as a 10.5-point home favorite. You get Michigan hosting Western at Michigan. And then the rest of that evening slate, South Dakota State at Northwestern. How interesting can that one be for how long? You give the Jacks a chance to go on the road and pull the upset of Northwestern. And then UNLV travels to Hawaii, where the Rebs are just 3-point road favorites. That'll be a 9 o'clock Central kickoff. UCLA Cal. That's a fun one. UCLA versus Cal is going to be really fun. New look UCLA versus JKS and that whole team over there at Cal. The Bruins actually are a 1.5 favorite over the Golden Bears, but that's a fun Pac-12 rivalry being reignited. Western Kentucky, Nevada, maybe intriguing. Western Kentucky road favorites. Sunday, we get Washington State, Washington. We get Apple Cup. We get Wisconsin and Notre Dame. We get Louisville, Ole Miss. And then Monday, we get SMU at Florida State. So I really think that Sunday and Monday are probably the best days in terms of the games consistently. You get a rivalry matchup. You get a game being played at Lambeau Field. You get a neutral site game between Louisville and Ole Miss. Cards with their sights set on challenging Miami for the ACC crown. And Ole Miss, not scared of anybody here after their run to the college football playoff semifinals last season. Fresh off Lane Kiffin's departure, Pete Golding being hired on as the full-time guy, not just the interim, the return of Trinidad Chambliss. New look Louisville in some ways. I think that's going to be a heck of a Sunday of college football. It'll be games at 3 o'clock, 6:30, and 6:30, which I don't love. I think they could have spaced these out a little bit better. Couldn't you go with the 11 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday or a noon kickoff on a Sunday into the 3 o'clock into one of those games at 6:30? But you see the Big Ten and in the SEC battling in some ways, right? Putting their games both in prime time on Sunday evening. The Big Ten will take an NBC doubleheader there that first Sunday on the 6th, with Washington State at Washington being at 3, leading right into Wisconsin and Notre Dame coming up then at 6:30. But the SEC puts its marquee Sunday game at 6:30 as well. That one will be on ABC between Louisville and Ole Miss. 402-464-5685 if you want to be a part of the show. It is a fun opening slate here for the Big Ten. And let's get the Tony Petitti news out of the way before we talk some Nebraska volleyball. Tony Petitti, given a 5-year extension through 2033, has quickly worked his way up into one of the most powerful people in college football. Tony Petitti, since he took over for Kevin Warren, has really helped elevate the Big Ten and its standing. Obviously, revenues have soared through the roof. And you look at from 2024 to 2025, the Big Ten gained an increase of $490 million in terms of distributed revenue. They were sitting at $883 million at the end of 2024. And then in fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2025, the Big Ten Conference distributed an extra $490 million up to $1.37 billion. And Sip and I were talking about this off air. It's funny that the commissioner gets so much credit for the success of the teams. And it is true, just like a president will get a lot of blame and a lot of credit for some things that are inside of their control, some things that are outside of their control at the national politics level. You can't sell the job that Tony Petitti has done short. He's been a little bit of a disruptor, right? He was one of the people that was really pushing that 2014 playoff model. And, like Roger Goodell, Tony Petitti is doing a good job for his key, stakeholders. And those are the universities. It's not necessarily Tony Petitti's job to watch out for college football or college basketball. It's Tony Petitti's job to watch out for the Big Ten, put the conference in the best position possible to succeed. Obviously, a lot of that comes in terms of financials, but leadership, guidance, direction, initiatives, all that good stuff. It seems like Tony Petitti has done a pretty solid job as a whole. Football has overtaken the SEC with Tony Petitti at the helm. Again, how much credit do you give him for that? He doesn't deserve, I would say, as much credit as Ryan Day does for finding a way to get that team over the hump. Certainly, Curt Cignetti and his turnaround wasn't because the Big Ten League office stepped in and pushed Indiana toward the crown, but it has happened under his watch, and he deserves some credit for that. The revenue is through the roof. The Big Ten snaps its 25-year championship drought. Mateen Cleaves, Michigan State, Tom Izzo, we don't have to have you live on in infamy any longer because Michigan and Dusty May and that crew snapped the title drought last year. That's a fact. Big Ten volleyball remains strong. Big Ten wrestling remains strong. Number of Big Ten teams having their best finishes in the Directors Cup, right? That's pretty cool. Just since November, there's been a bunch of teams that have won titles in different sports across the Big Ten. It's in a healthy position. It's a healthy league that's doing very well. And you can quibble with Tony Petitti pushing for that 2014 playoff. You can quibble with how he's treated Big Ten baseball. I think it's been on the back burner for him. And sure, it's not the biggest revenue sport for anyone in college, but coming from the Major League Baseball offices, I had held out some hope that Tony Petitti would do more for Big Ten baseball early on to give it the spark to be the catalyst, maybe the kick in the pants, whatever it is that the Big Ten needed in baseball. Haven't necessarily seen that come to fruition yet. Perhaps we will in the near future. But first and foremost, the job that the Tony Petitti's done in keeping the Big Ten at the forefront when it comes to name, image, and likeness and flexibility and handling all of that. What Tony Petitti did, part of his leadership with the Big Ten through the Brendan Sorsby saga that I'm sure we'll talk about with Bach coming up in hour 3 of the show. Then the job that the Tony Petitti has done with the eligibility rules, working with his coaches, working with his presidents, chancellors, athletic directors, etc. Hasn't been a perfect tenure. Maybe got off to a bit of an under the radar start. Tony Petitti, it seems like he's starting to put himself out there a little bit more than he did early in his tenure. But I think it's really hard to argue with the job that the Tony Petitti has done on the conference level. So a 5-year extension for him. I think he's done, for the most part, what his chief stakeholders have asked of him. And they're telling you as much, rewarding him with a 5-year contract extension through the year 2033. I know he's not on perfect parallels with Roger Goodell, and some of Goodell's missteps are probably a bigger deal than what Tony Petitti has done. But Goodell found a way through it, continues to lead the NFL to record valuations and record revenue distributions as well. And the NFL's the biggest domestic sports league and among the biggest in the world, one of the biggest television draws in the world. And the Big Ten certainly seems to be inching that way when it comes to the college football specific space and maybe even some ancillary auxiliary sports there as well. One of those is volleyball, where the Big Ten remains strong in large part because Nebraska volleyball is strong. The hunt for another title, the hunt for number 6, starts not officially today. It's an exhibition day for Spikes Under the Lights for Nebraska volleyball. But is this senior class on the verge of becoming the female version, the volleyball version of the Fab Five from Michigan? Let's have that discussion as we continue Old School. Hour 1 of the show brought to you by Heartland of Nebraska Windows, based down in Hallam. You can learn more about everything they have going on by calling 402-430-3852. You can also visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Let's talk Nebraska volleyball as the new Fab Five. I ask, you answer. That's next on Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they're committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perchmerch.com.
Hey, Jake, you know what I love almost as much as the Big Red?
Big scores on the field?
Good guess, but nope.
Big spikes on the court?
Love those too, but I'm thinking food. Like those big, budget-friendly portions you find at Buzzard Billy's.
Now you're talking. I love Buzzard Billy's. I love the shrimp po' boys and the blackened chicken.
You almost always find me enjoying gumbo.
Big plays, big scores, big wins, Big Red. Yep, love them all, especially
those big portions that are budget-friendly. Only at Buzzard Billy's, A-Market.
Your line just went down. Production stopped. A supervisor wants answers. And someone's digging through a binder for the maintenance history. Every one of those minutes costs money. And most of the time, that breakdown could have been prevented. That's where Maintain X comes in. Maintain X catches the failure before it happens. Preventive maintenance plans on every key asset to improve reliability. Work orders assigned and tracked right from your phone. Everyone from the floor to the front office is in the loop. Real-time dashboards give managers instant visibility into what's been completed, what's overdue, and where the bottlenecks are. No more guesswork. Just a smarter, faster maintenance operation. Companies on Maintain X have cut unplanned downtime by over 30% and saved thousands on parts and labor every year. See what it can do for your operation. Try Maintain X free at maintainx.com.
Learning isn't meant to be ordinary. It's meant to challenge you, inspire you, prepare you, and open doors you never imagined. Whether you're pursuing your first career, changing directions, or exploring your options, you deserve an experience that's built around where you want to go, not where others might expect you to stop. At Southeast Community College, you'll find more than a place to learn. You'll find a place to become, because we do community college different. SEC, let's do more.
Saving money in your next project? Now at Menards. From smoke and carbon monoxide alarms to fire extinguishers and more, Kidda Home Safety Products will help keep your family safe in case of emergencies. Get peace of mind today with a new Kidda smoke alarm featuring over 25% faster detection. Plus, don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Some moments deserve more than ordinary jewelry. At Sartor Heyman, we've helped Lincoln celebrate life's biggest occasions for over 120 years. With quality craftsmanship, timeless gifts, and diamonds you can see from across the room. From our exclusive Heartland collection to custom design pieces, every detail is made with care by experienced jewelers you can trust. Whether you're celebrating love, family, milestones, Sartor Heyman has a gift for every occasion in life.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting lincolnteammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
When Nebraska businesses win, we all win. And the Nebraska Chamber is helping make that happen. Tackling the tough stuff like job creation, affordable and accessible childcare, and building a stronger workforce. We're stepping up so local businesses can step forward. If you want to see Nebraska keep growing, keep competing, and keep winning, get connected with the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Learn more at nechamber.com.
When something breaks, you want someone you can trust to fix it right. Empire Repair is now open in Waverly and ready to serve our community with reliable auto repair and maintenance. From routine service to bigger repairs, our team is here to keep you on the road. Stop by Empire Repair in Waverly or call 402-786-2224 to schedule your service today. Empire Repair, proud to serve Waverly.
Husker fans know a strong game plan makes all the difference, no matter where they cheer from. The dedication fans bring every season is the same dedication that builds long-term financial success. That's why Emeritus connects fans across the country with financial professionals who can help them plan, prepare, and move toward their goals. As a proud partner of Husker Athletics, Emeritus supports fans in every corner of the country because great fans deserve a great future. Emeritus, fulfilling life fueled by Husker pride. Go to emeritus.com/Husker Wealth for more information.
Play ball! Some places just feel like home. In Lincoln, that place is Haymarket Park. For 25 seasons, it's where we gather with friends, with family, and our out-of-towners who want that same warm welcome. It's where kids catch their first foul ball, where we're all neighbors for at least 9 innings. Because when Salt Dogs fans root for our home team, there isn't a single stranger in the stands. So come one, come all, and let your local tradition play on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
The Friends with Camplin Bird Legal Group here in Lincoln would like to take this time out to thank our first responders, doctors, nurses, and the healthcare professionals who put their lives in harm's way for our protection. Blood donation centers need people to donate blood. Be a silent hero and donate blood today. It will help accident victims, surgery patients, sick children, and members of our military. This message is from Camplin Bird Legal Group here in Lincoln. Let's stay united and keep America safe and strong.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, we're back to hour one of Old School. Austin Orman with you, Jay Foreman, out hitting the links today with a number of your other favorite ticket personalities, Jake Sorensen, Jason Peter, and Grant Westrom. Kind of fun to be able to call those guys ticket personalities as well. Big thanks to Heartland of Nebraska Windows for their sponsorship here of the show in hour one. Really appreciate them. They offer all sorts of great services there out of Hallam, including free estimates, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Locally and family owned with their own team of installers. You can give Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today for more info, 402-430-3852. You can also visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. I'd been trying to come up with the right comp for Nebraska volleyball to put this program and really the senior class in perspective. And I think it was staring me in the face the whole time. And I think I finally landed on it last night. Nebraska volleyball is the new Fab Five at this point. The senior class specifically. That class of 2023, that was, by the way, signed with 5 members. Harper Murray, number 2 overall in that class. Bergen Riley, number 4 overall. Lainey Choboy was the number 5 overall prospect. Caroline Juravicius, who obviously ended up leaving Nebraska for Penn State, was the number 7 overall player in the country. And then Andy Jackson was the number 13 overall prospect. So he did come in with a group of freshmen that was 5 players deep. And just like the Fab Five, think about how that 2023 season went very similarly to the way that 1991-92 season went for the Fab Five, making it all the way to the national title game before losing to a more established team and more established group at that time. For the Fab Five, they became the first team to make the NCAA final with an all-freshman lineup. That's pretty cool. They ended up losing to Duke in the championship game in 92 and then Carolina in the title game in 93. Volleyball in 23 had a heck of a special season, right? Undefeated all the way up to the final match of Big Ten play. The Big Ten championship already in hand for second to final match. Nebraska goes on the road on November the 24th and drops a straight sets match to number 5 Wisconsin, but they bounce back and beat Minnesota 3-1 to cap the regular season. Sweep through the first 3 rounds of the NCAA tournament, beat Arkansas 3-1 in the regional final in Lincoln before sweeping Pitt in the Final Four, 3-0 down in Tampa, setting up a matchup with Thomas and Lincoln's favorite team, Texas. Texas, an older, more experienced crew, ends up going back-to-back, winning back-to-back titles there in 22 and 23, sweeping number 1 Nebraska out of the national championship final 3-0. But that group, that roster there in 2023, again, freshman heavy. Freshman dominated when you look at who that group was. We mentioned that recruiting class, that 5-member recruiting class, pretty much all of whom played a part. Juravicius, maybe less so. But that was sophomore Rebecca Alec on that team. You had junior Lexi Rodriguez on that team, Merritt Beeson as a junior, Allie Batenhorst, member of that team, Lindsey Krause as well, forming the nucleus and the core of that rotation. So you have the early championship pedigree if not necessarily championship success. You give the Fab Five credit for making it all the way back to the national final then in 1993. Again, they're defeated by North Carolina in that one. Nebraska doesn't make it back to the final in 2024. Back to the Final Four? Yes. Back to the national championship final? No. As they drop the stunner to Penn State there in the Final Four. The Nittany Lions go on and win the national title. And Captain Cody on YouTube will continue to get to your comments there. You're dropping some really good ones, some really good knowledge. And so that's a big part of it as well. So if you're on YouTube and you see Cody's comments, stick with us. We'll get to those. You get then to the cultural impact. And I think, Cody, this is what you're starting to get to, saying this senior class has all the star power. And full disclosure, I was not alive for the Fab Five. I didn't live through that era. The after effects, the ramifications, certainly, though, we've seen. You think about the long black socks. You think about the haircuts. You think about the baggy shorts and the cultural icons that the Fab Five were together, and in some cases individually a little bit as well. And I think the parallel that can be drawn, the comparison here, is the explosion of volleyball alongside Nebraska Volleyball's, you would say, success still, because you're not going to trade the results that this program has had over the last 3 years really for anything, right? It's not like there's been that one dominant team that's stolen all the titles from Nebraska like we maybe would have seen back in the mid to late 2000s with the runs that Stanford and Penn State went on. But at some point, does this group need to win a title, or does it become the new Fab Five, right? I think that there's going to be a lot of people who remember this Nebraska volleyball team, this Nebraska volleyball program, this Nebraska volleyball run for years to come, decades to come in the volleyball space, maybe the Nebraska space, and maybe sports at large. I'm not sure Nebraska volleyball as a program has the same, wide-ranging cultural impact as say, Caitlin Clark did playing basketball for Iowa. Basketball is also a bigger, more visible, more consistently visible sport than volleyball. And so you give, Caitlin Clark credit for doing what she did over in her avenue, her lane, her space. And you give Nebraska volleyball a bunch of credit for getting a bunch of credit, and deservedly so, right? These have been incredible representatives of the Nebraska, volleyball program, of the sport of volleyball, great ambassadors for it, really on the whole. And so I don't want to go overboard and say that the rise of volleyball, the popularity of volleyball is all because of Nebraska. But the more you hear other coaches talk about what Nebraska has built, what the program has turned into, you have to give Nebraska its fair share of the credit in terms of making volleyball popular, for pushing the sport forward. Volleyball in the state of Nebraska as well has helped grow things, I would say, across the country. You've always had pockets on the West Coast and maybe some on the East Coast and down south as well. But Nebraska doing what it did for quote unquote Northern volleyball, John Cook, Danny Busboom Kelly, Nebraska leadership, et cetera, Terry Pettit back in the day, deserve their fair share of credit for it. But will they be as culturally relevant in volleyball as the Fab Five was in basketball? I think we're trending that direction. How important is a title? It can't just be about rings. But I think that's an important piece. You think about just how good this team, this class has been, and Captain Cody points this out on YouTube. As of right now, the senior class has lost a total of 6 games, 3 of them to the eventual title winner. That's crazy. It is. That's unheard of. That doesn't happen really in any sport. Maybe football with fewer games being played when you get your dynastic runs. But for months-long sports where you're playing multiple times a week, you just don't see that. You can scroll through the results and the teams that this Nebraska volleyball program going back through 2023 has played. I mean, you go back to 23, we gave you that schedule already, but for those people that might have missed it, that group went 33-2, lost the second to last game of the regular season on the road at Wisconsin, but still won at least a share of the Big Ten title, and then dropped the national final. So there's the 30-year losses right there. You move on to 2024, a team that's seeking to get back to that national championship game. They have that stunner down in Dallas against SMU. Number 2, Nebraska gets swept by unranked SMU. Then Takes the Huskers a while to lose again. You have to go all the way to, again, the end of the challenging Big Ten regular season, the second to last game, where Nebraska drops in 4 sets on the road at number 4 Penn State. Does a great job in the NCAA tournament, again, sweeping the first 2 rounds, a 4-setter against Dayton that Nebraska wins, and then sweeping Wisconsin at the Bob Devaney Sports Center before you get the collapse against Penn State. Plain and simple. I think that there's no other way that you can frame what happened to Nebraska aside from a collapse. Nebraska wins a couple hard-fought sets, 25-23, 25-18, drops a couple tight ones, then they're all 2-pointers from there, 25-23, 28-26, and 15-13. Certainly a good Penn State team, certainly a talented Penn State team, but you're up 2-0, and you didn't slam the door. You didn't close the door. And then last year, the upset loss at the Bob Devaney Sports Center to Texas A&M. You know, and I don't know if Nebraska doesn't win a title, which game, which accomplishment is most going to define this class and this program. Because you want to emphasize the fact that they have only lost those 6 games, right? You mentioned those, we have to get to 2025, Penn State and SMU then in 2024. Penn State twice in SMU in 2024. And then just last year, again, the undefeated regular season in non-conference where you played a challenging slate, including opening the season against top 10 teams, Pitt and Stanford. You go to Nashville and come from behind to beat Kentucky in 5 sets. You handle Utah here at home. You take Creighton's best chance on the road in Omaha as a top 20 team, and you end up winning that one as well. To sweep through Big Ten play, hardly dropping a set, right? I mean, the first time that Nebraska dropped even a set in Big Ten play came on the road in the middle of November at UCLA. And that was the last set Nebraska would drop until it lost to Texas A&M. I mean, that team lost 3 sets. 3 sets all year long from conference play on. That's absurd. That is insane. That is incredible. And they only lose the 1 game. But without a title, what is this team, what is this class, what is this group remembered for? And again, I don't want to be it's rings or nothing, it's natties or nothing, because of the incredible work that this program and these people have done. But it's Nebraska. It's Nebraska volleyball. They've lost to the eventual champions, despite being favored going into those matches. That's something. That's something that I think is going to hang over this group's head, deserve it or not, if they're unable to finish the deal this year. They deserve to be remembered for putting 92,003 fans in Memorial Stadium for something we hadn't seen before and might never see again. That's a world record, or at least a national domestic record. 92,000 fans for a women's sporting event, a volleyball match at Memorial Stadium. 3 consecutive Big Ten titles, eyes on a 4th. Only dropping 6 matches in 3 years to this point. As the sport of volleyball improves, Nebraska's not beating up on cupcakes. Nebraska continues to push the envelope and to challenge itself in terms of non-conference scheduling and remaining obviously in the Big Ten and taking part in the best volleyball conference. I think Nebraska being as good as they've been has helped grow the sport of volleyball, right? We heard a lot of hand-wringing and saw a lot of hand-wringing and a lot of complaints when it came to Alabama football. But I think Alabama football helped make a lot of people better. Obviously, Nebraska football in the 90s. When you have a dominant team and a dominant program like that, it forces everyone to either, cower, capitulate, dive out of the way, or start learning what it looks like to stand tall, to hold your ground, to find ways to improve, to nitpick at weaknesses until you're able to beat a team like this. We saw that with the Fab Five, right? Now, they didn't do the undefeated thing or the conference championship thing, or even, the players of the year thing like Nebraska volleyball, where you've seen Harper Murray, Andy Jackson, Bergen Riley all get their fair share of recognition. Bergen Riley's been National Player of the Year, or certainly Big Ten Player of the Year. Fab Five never had a Big Ten Player of the Year. You look at 91 through 95, in the National Player of the Year was Larry Johnson, Christian Leitner, Calbert Cheney, Glenn Robinson and Joe Smith. And I know Michigan kind of fell off. And maybe we can do player comps when we get back for our final segment. But I think you look at the star power on Nebraska volleyball might even be higher relative to the level than it was for the Fab Five for Michigan. I know that's saying something. That was an incredibly talented group where, I mean, especially that top three of Weber, of Rose, and of Howard. I mean, that's probably on the level of Murray, of Riley, and of Jackson. But Nebraska's crew has more of that individual hardware to show than the Michigan Fab Five did. So maybe we do get into player comps. Maybe that's what we do. But right now, I think the overall big picture 30,000-foot view parallels are very similar between Nebraska volleyball and the Fab Five. Cultural icons helping, revolutionize and or grow the sport. And to this point, ringless. Nebraska volleyball still has a chance to get that championship banner, to wear the rings. The Fab Five doesn't. The Fab Five missed its opportunity. Nebraska volleyball's played some good teams. The Fab Five ran into some really darn good teams. But I think it's championship or bust at this point for this group. Or else their legacy may end up being defined by what they did off the court as opposed to what they accomplished on the court. And I think that would be a shame for yes, great people who are doing great things to push the sport of volleyball forward, but a bunch of players that look like they belong in a championship level scene. For them not to be able to finish the deal, I think would be heart-wrenching. Let's do player comps. Let's take text from the Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line on Nebraska volleyball as we return to Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $195 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1009974, $195 per month lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, 10,000 due at signing, no security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees expert. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 8/31/26.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Here's your updated 93.7 The Ticket forecast, sponsored by Bryant Air Conditioning, Electrical, Heating, and Plumbing. Highs level off around 85. Today, under sunny skies, northerly winds around 5 miles per hour. Mainly clear. Tonight, lows level off around 65. Highs around 87. Tomorrow, mainly clear skies. That's your updated forecast on Lincoln's home for the Kansas City Royals. 93.7 The Ticket. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster. Right now, it's 68 degrees.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Your line just went down. Production stopped. A supervisor wants answers, and someone's digging through a binder for the maintenance history. Every one of those minutes costs money, and most of the time, that breakdown could have been prevented. That's where MaintainX comes in. MaintainX catches the failure before it happens. Preventive maintenance plans on every key asset to improve reliability. Work orders assigned and tracked right from your phone. Everyone from the floor to the front office is in the loop. Real-time dashboards give managers instant visibility into what's been completed, what's overdue, and where the bottlenecks are. No more guesswork. Just a smarter, faster maintenance operation. Companies on MaintainX have cut unplanned downtime by over 30% and saved thousands on parts and labor every year. See what it can do for your operation. Try MaintainX free at maintainx.com.
When something breaks, you want someone you can trust to fix it right. Empire Repair is now open in Waverly and ready to serve our community with reliable auto repair and maintenance. From routine service to bigger repairs, our team is here to keep you on the road. Stop by Empire Repair in Waverly or call 402-786-2224 to schedule your service today. Empire Repair, proud to serve Waverly.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs, quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside's margaritas and old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Ever look at your house and think, ouch, it's stuck in the past? Or realize that your kitchen needs a new everything? Like thousands of homeowners, you can simply call SprayNet Lincoln. Their patented spray system and paint delivers a flawless factory finish, no mess, done in a day, and cost-effective. It looks just like new, including your vinyl. And it's all backed by their 15-year no-peel warranty. SprayNet Lincoln, custom chemistry and smarter painting. Google SprayNet Lincoln or call them now at 402-383-3336 or email ching@spray-net.com.
Learning isn't meant to be ordinary. It's meant to challenge you, inspire you, prepare you, and open doors you never imagined. Whether you're pursuing your first career, changing directions, or exploring your options, you deserve an experience that's built around where you want to go, not where others might expect you to stop. At Southeast Community College, you'll find more than a place to learn. You'll find a place to become, because we do community college different. SEC, let's do more.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're wrapping up hour one of Old School. Hour one of the show brought to you, as always, by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. You see their information scrolling down below if you're watching on stream. Talking some Nebraska volleyball here in hour one, and honestly, this might bleed over into hour two as we are just about at the top of the hour. So we'll probably go to break and take more and more of your text. Let's go ahead and do Nebraska Volleyball Fab 5 player comps. I definitely want everyone's opinion on this. I think Harper Murray would be my first choice to beat Chris Webber in terms of being highly rated, in terms of being multi-positional, omni-positional, really, for Harper Murray being a sixth rotation player, Chris Webber being, the most versatile probably of the headlining trio there, putting up the numbers that they did, being thought of as probably the best, most dominant player, at least early on. And then you do have to factor in the off-court stuff as well. It was Chris Webber that was the one that was taking the money that led to a lot of the issues and all the vacated wins from the Fab 5. We know that Harper Murray, that her fair share of stuff go on off the court, and for her to soldier on through it, some stuff that's happened to her, other situations of her own making and her own accord. And so I think that there's an argument for me that Harper Murray is the Chris Webber of this, Fab 5, you might call it, for Nebraska volleyball. You could also see Andy Jackson as Chris Webber, right, as the unicorn. And in maybe, dare I say, the falling short in the biggest moments. I mean, Andy Jackson got sent to the bench against Texas A&M last year. Manaya Ogbeche came in relief of her and played pretty well. Andy Jackson was, 6 for 22 attacking. Manaya Ogbeche went 5 for 12. And I know it's one game. It's a small sample size. And yes, I know everything else that went on with Nebraska, with Bergen Riley fighting through illness, with Campbell Flynn, her pinky injury, with Valley Check landing on the volleyball and spraining her ankle. I know there's a lot of stuff out of whack for Nebraska in that game. But what's the defining moment of that match? To me, it's Nebraska couldn't trust its All-American unicorn Andy Jackson, and it had to go to the bench. Pretty darn good player. Absolutely a darn good player in Manaya Ogbeche. But that's a big moment for a freshman to be thrust into, and you give her a bunch of credit for how she handled it. But Nebraska, again, falls just short to Texas A&M here in Lincoln. I think, obviously, it makes Bergen Riley Jalen Rose in a lot of ways, setter, point guard, table setter, that sort of thing. But I think there's also an argument maybe for Bergen Riley as Juwan Howard. I could very well see Bergen Riley having the most successful pro career of anybody and going on to win, I don't know, Olympic gold potentially for Team USA. I'm sure that is on Bergen Riley's radar. Can she challenge to be on the Team USA Olympic team in 2028 and try to lead Team USA to another Olympic gold as Husker hero Jordan Larson did at one point as well. And then you don't want to leave out, Lainey Choboy and Caroline Juravicius from that group. Not really a great comp for Juravicius, unless maybe she's Chris Webber, being the first one to leave the institution, at least in that mindset. But I guess by default, then Lainey Choboy becomes Ray Jackson and Jimmy King, who, if Lainey Choboy was the best player on your team, you probably get what you did with Michigan in 94 and 95. But certainly a vital piece, an important piece, a valuable piece for the success of the whole operation, right? I think Lainey Choboy is a fan favorite with her hustle, the way she's played that libero position, obviously battling with Olivia Mauk, splitting reps there, the way both those ladies have handled that position battle, that competition, and continue to play at a high level has been pretty darn good. And so I think that right now you see those upper level parallels between Nebraska volleyball and the Fab Five. And I think we all hope in some ways that Nebraska volleyball is able to remove itself from the Fab Five conversation when it comes to the ringless conversation. And we have a lot of texts on this very, very topic because it does feel kind of natty or bust for Nebraska yet again. Certainly a championship standard at Nebraska, if not championship or bust. So how about this? Let's go ahead and go to break. Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line. You guys have a lot of questions regarding Nebraska volleyball and this comparison to the Fab Five. We'll go ahead and go to break. When we get back, Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line on Nebraska volleyball. That'll take up at least the first segment here of hour 2 of the show. Plenty of Nebraska football to get to, though. I saw this tweeted out last night and obviously caught my attention. Nebraska being mentioned. This is a tweet from Ben Fox, who's a betting analyst for Yahoo Sports. Nebraska, among the 5 most bet college football preseason win total overs. We'll get into that with Bach. What'll go right for Nebraska if it goes over its preseason number? What'll go wrong for Nebraska if it misses it? Who do you think the biggest villain is in the offseason that's been for college football? Texas Tech, LSU, or someone else? We'll have that conversation and plenty more in the realm of eligibility. But before that, more discussion about Nebraska volleyball maybe being the new Fab Five. What's it going to take for the Huskers to get over the hump and for this senior class to win that elusive national championship? We lead off hour 2 of Old School with that very topic.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Why did Pete Ricketts spend millions to get himself appointed to the U.S. Senate? Ricketts knows D.C. is pay to play. Since going to D.C., Ricketts has increased his net worth almost 30%. He voted to lower his own taxes and made a killing dumping shares before a looming government shutdown. Meanwhile, he's opposed every serious attempt to ban congressional stock trading. Nebraskans can't afford lawmakers enriching themselves while our costs go through the roof. Tell Senator Ricketts to support the Ban Congressional Stock Trading Act now. This communication paid for by Nebraska Groundswell.
Learning isn't meant to be ordinary. It's meant to challenge you, inspire you, prepare you, and open doors you never imagined. Whether you're pursuing your first career, changing directions, or exploring your options, you deserve an experience that's built around where you want to go, not where others might expect you to stop. At Southeast Community College, you'll find more than a place to learn. You'll find a place to become, because we do community college different. SEC, let's do more.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Better up!
The crack of the bat. Sizzling concessions. Yeah, that's the sound of summer at Haymarket Park. It's been that way for 25 seasons. And in this city, it's not a matter of if you'll catch a game, it's how many.
Safe.
That's because there's always something in play for Salt Dogs fans. From saluting our troops to Friday night fireworks, your local tradition plays on. Let's show summer how Lincoln celebrates 25 seasons. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
Salt Mine City is your go-to brewery and the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their Big Fatty 7-ounce hamburger or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
At the Nebraska State Fair, you never know what you'll experience. Maybe it's watching your kid fall in love with a baby goat. Maybe it's that first bite of something deep fried and incredible. Maybe it's the moment everyone puts their phone down because core memories are forming right in front of them. It all happens here at the Nebraska State Fair, August 28th through September 7th in Grand Island. Visit statefair.org.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built upon hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with room for advancement.
Saving money in your next project? Now at Menards. From smoke and carbon monoxide alarms to fire extinguishers and more, Kidda Home Safety products will help keep your family safe in case of emergencies. Get peace of mind today with a new Kidda smoke alarm featuring over 25% faster detection. Plus, don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts, answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yes, indeed. Away we go into hour 2 of the show. Fear not, you will hear another voice on this program. It will not be Jay Foreman. Jake Bachman will join me for the back half of the show. Halftime reinforcements. Really appreciate him stepping in here with Jay Foreman out golfing. Fear not as well. Jay Foreman will be here, though, for tonight and tomorrow's high school football games. Appreciate Todd Euler jumping in the booth last Friday as we both made our high school football debut. But we will have the vet back in the booth. Jay Foreman and I on the call for high school football the next 2 nights. Lincoln Northeast and Lincoln East tonight before Lincoln Southeast and Millard West tomorrow. Both games at Seacrest Field. Really looking forward to that. Been a while since I've called anything with Jay since state basketball, I believe. So we'll have some fun there with that. Big thanks to Graham Tire for their sponsorship of Old School. Tell you more about them, all their locations, all the great work they do throughout the course of the show. 402-464-5685 is the number, 2-hour starter, Heyman Jewelers text line. You guys have a lot of thoughts, a lot of comments, a lot of questions regarding this comparison I've been making to the Fab Five for Nebraska volleyball. Don, really appreciate you texting in. Eric, someone's got to keep me in line. Yes, that's kind of why the station exists at this point. Just a bunch of people babysitting me. So really appreciate all my coworkers, ownership, management, and everyone that makes the ticket the place to work that it really is. So again, bottom of my heart, it's awesome. So let's get into these texts here. Let's start with this from 9326, and we'll go from there. 9326 says, this volleyball team or class of seniors kind of feels like the Bo Pelini era. They seem to win everything except for when it matters. Don't know how they get over that hump. I don't think that is necessarily the comparison I would draw, because this is a team that has won some massive regular season games, both in conference play and outside of conference play. You think about all the times that this senior class alone has beat Wisconsin, has beat Penn State, has beat Minnesota, beat Stanford, beat Kentucky, has beat Creighton, beat Pitt, yada, 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 down through the list. They can't win the big one. They've won plenty of big ones, more so than Bo Pelini did, regular season or postseason at Nebraska. This team's a step beyond that. They're not going like 28-7 or whatever that math would work out to be, to be the 9-3. I guess it would be 27-8. I guess would be better math, 26-8, something like that. This team is better than that. This program is significantly better than that. They are winning 30 matches a year. They're winning 32 matches a year. They're winning 33 matches per year. They're just not getting win 34 or 35 or maybe 36. And that's a talking point and an understandable one, because they are dominant all regular season long. Not just good all regular season long. They're dominant all regular season long. They're legitimately feared. There's legitimate trembling. It is an earth-shaking, campus-moving event when Nebraska volleyball comes to a road gym. It's a party. It's an event here in Lincoln every time Nebraska volleyball takes the floor. They're not getting by with luck. They're not scraping by, 3-2 in all of these. Nebraska volleyball is dominating top competition from start to finish in the regular season, even in the early rounds of the postseason. And then you get to the Final Four, you get to the national championship game, and then the random Elite Eight loss that Nebraska had to Texas A&M. And again, Elite Eight, 3 rounds to go, and you're national champions. So unfortunate that Nebraska hasn't been able to get over that hump. And, I'm not sure scientists will be studying why, but it is worth talking about. I think it's worth diving into and figuring out what it is. Let's go ahead and go through this. Chase Woltemath asks, is the pressure just too much at the end of the season, or I don't understand why they always crumble? I'm not sure it's fair to say they always crumble, because they've had 3 seasons, the senior class specifically, and 3 completely different ways. It looked horrible against Texas. Nebraska getting swept out of the national championship in Tampa, 3-0. Someone else on the text line mentioned Harper Murray got picked on as a freshman with hardly any seniors on that roster against a Texas team in its quest to repeat as national champions. That was a young group that had its eyes open. The fairy tale regular season that was with Volleyball Day in Nebraska and all that, it didn't come crashing down because of the result of one match. It's understandable that in that entire roster's first crack at a national championship, it would fall short. You know what? That's normal. That's typical. They took the lessons they learned and were basically as good the very next year. Where I think, when I think of crumble and of can't win the big one, or the moment being too big, or letting off the gas, whatever it is, I go back to that 2024 Penn State match. I go back to that one. You're up 2-0 in a national semifinal against a Penn State team I believe you'd beat before. And I know Penn State was playing for Coach Schumacher-Colley, something bigger than themselves with her cancer diagnosis, and that's an incredible story in its own right. But for Nebraska being the earth shaker, the ground mover in college volleyball, there's one more step that Nebraska can still take, and that's to go Evil Empire. That's to go full-on Dream Crusher. That's to be the team that prevents the Hollywood ending, right? Maybe as freshmen, they were too young to prevent the Hollywood storybook ending of Texas volleyball going back-to-back. Maybe in 2024, that's when you say, okay, they learned the lessons from last year. Penn State is hot. They're on a heater. It's on Nebraska as the more talented, more consistent team throughout the course of the regular season to stamp out that fire, to tamp it down and to end that dream. And they weren't able to do it. And then last year, if you're an evil empire, quote unquote, if you're Darth Vader, what you do is you snuff out that candle that Texas A&M had. And you give the Aggies a lot of credit for playing their best volleyball at the right time. Maybe underseeded, maybe a bad draw for Nebraska. But if you're the evil empire, screw calling it a bad draw. You're Nebraska. You find a way to win that match if you're ready and capable of being the evil empire. And again, context necessary. Andy Jackson had an off night. Guess what? It happens. Texas A&M put a lot into stopping her. But we saw Michaela Fecke go supernova back in 2015 or 2017. We saw Jazz Sweet step up in one of those title runs. We didn't see enough from Nebraska to get over that hump. And I know Bergen Riley was under the weather, and you give her immense credit for gutting it out because she had to, because Nebraska didn't have another available setter on the roster, because Campbell Flynn would have been breaking her pinky into smithereens and shreds if she was trying to set through that with everything that's required of playing the setter position at a top level. And so I don't think that's a crumble. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's a confluence of circumstances, but I think it's also then fair to say that Nebraska wasn't good, and maybe no team would have been good enough, but Nebraska specifically being the team that was presented that opportunity, Nebraska wasn't good enough to overcome all those challenges. Nebraska wasn't the evil empire in its full form that could take the barbs and arrows and overcome it anyways. That is just factual. It doesn't diminish what they've done in the last 3 regular seasons. It's just the unfortunate final chapter that doesn't go their way. 1562. People aren't going to want to hear this, and I'm not saying this is what is happening for sure, but I worry this could be the start of the same trap that the football program fell into, where all the fame and adoration starts to take their eye off the ball. The last 2 years, they've had by far the most dominant team, but fell short in crunch time. I hope it's not the case, but it concerns me. I can't speak for where that volleyball team's focus is or is not. They have a lot of deserved popularity for how good they have been on the court, for the people that they are off the court. It's a fair question. It's a fair concern in this day and age of rev share, of NIL, and of being the queens of campus. Are they too high on their own supply? Do they want their cake and eat it too? I am not for a second questioning the work ethic. They've put in the work to become incredible volleyball players. You don't win 30 plus matches per year without putting the work in. Jay talks about that all the time. That was a talented group in 94, in 95, in 96, in 97, and 98. There was plenty of talent there. They also put in the work. You're not winning, 3 out of 4 without putting in the work. You're not making it to the national championship, the Final Four, and the Elite Eight if you're not putting in work, which is where I don't think it's Nebraska taking its eye off the ball. To me, maybe it's more chemistry. Maybe there is still a missing piece. Danny Busboom Kelly has done a good job, just like John Cook did, I think, of keeping the temperature in the room steady. You have the vocal leadership of our own, I'm going to call him that again, Jalen Reyes over there on the sideline as well. But is Nebraska too intense? Is Nebraska too loose in those top moments? Does Nebraska focus too hard and swing too hard and try too hard in those big moments because they're tight? Or does Nebraska relax too much in those big moments? Do they go, oh, we're Nebraska. Yeah, we got this. We trust talent to take over. I'm not on the inside. I can't answer that, but I think it's paramount. It's imperative for Danny Busboom Kelly and her staff to figure out if there's a missing personality on the team. If it's a team that is so serious, so rock steady, and so focused all the time that it's trying too hard. I'm not saying try less. I'm saying try easier. Does Nebraska need, the class clown, the joker that's going to lighten the mood in those big moments? Or if Nebraska does lose focus, does Nebraska need that steel-eyed, that rule follower that gets everyone back in line? Hey, it's not over yet. Snap up. Hey, right here. My eyes are here talking to you. Let's focus up. Let's finish. I'm not sure. It's up to Nebraska to figure that out. And again, it's on the margins because they are so close. Let's see. Scrolling through some more text on our Starter Human Jewelers text line. Westy, I feel like it's been a hardcore natty or bust for 2 years now, coming on 3. Don't forget, Nebraska Volleyball's had a similar title drought before, right? You go from the Pavin teams in the early mid-2000s through the Stanford era, the Penn State era, before Nebraska finally gets another natty there in 2015. Kind of a pop-up title. I think 2015 was the unexpected one, where 2017, Nebraska, got back to the mountaintop just a couple of years later. Nebraska's gone through droughts like this before, where it's taken a little bit of a program reimagining of getting the right pieces in the door. And who's to say that can't happen again? But with how highly touted this class was, with their professional prospects on and off the court, feels like they could have. I'm not going to say should have. At the very least, could have had a national title by now. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Nebraska is not the only program in the country with championship or bust expectations. I know Texas is thinking the same. I know Stanford wants to reclaim its perch. I know Kentucky has a taste at this point. Pitt is looking for its. Louisville has been really good. Wisconsin wants you to know they're not out of the picture at this point. Penn State has as much history as anybody in the game of volleyball, et cetera, down through the line. Nebraska is not the only natty or bust championship. But when you get the attention that Nebraska does, when you have the success in the regular season that Nebraska does with the high-profile players that Nebraska does, maybe your crown does have a few extra jewels in it, deserved or not. Alan says, I don't see Nebraska volleyball seniors returning for a 5th year. What do you think? I've heard rumblings. I've heard rumors one way or the other, and I don't think it's my place to share them. I have my opinion on what I think might happen, might not happen. I don't know how big a deal winning a championship would be in terms of the unfinished business narrative if Nebraska in this class go 0 for 4, or if they end on a high note. They finally get it in their senior year with the 5th year of eligibility available to them in the class of 23. If they win it, they go out on a high note. If they win it and they go 2006, 2007 Florida and say, hey, let's run it back. Let's get 2 in a row. If not all of us are going pro, none of us are going pro. Or if they fall short, you know what? We couldn't get it done. We can't pass up these incredible professional opportunities that continue to grow and expand in the world of professional volleyball. I don't know. I think it's up to all of those players to make their determinations, and certainly not now. As we talk about keeping the eye on the ball, there's a long, full, difficult game ahead of them tonight, and that's just an exhibition before the regular season gets started, before Big Ten play gets started, before the new Big Ten tournament, and even before the NCAA tournament. So I think that those players will make their announcements and their decisions in their due time. I know what I'd like to see. I know I have my opinions on it, but it's their spot to finally make that. 2021 wasn't their season a few years ago where the volleyball team only lost 3 matches all year. All 3 were to Wisconsin. Yeah, that might have been 2022 potentially. But yeah, no, Wisconsin had its run, and guess what? Nebraska adapted. Nebraska waited out that Wisconsin run, had still its fair share of success, but it's back to Nebraska being on top of the conference in terms of winning conference titles. Haddo says, this current volleyball run is more like early Tom Osborne than Bo Pelini. He win everything except the big one at the end. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And that's where you give Danny Busboom Kelly a lot of credit for keeping Nebraska in contention. Obviously, Coach Cook as well. The more you're in and around the picture, the championship picture, the title hunt, the more likely you are to win one. Nebraska's not just popping up in and out and missing its one chance every 5 years. Nebraska is still a dang good volleyball program. We expect it to be a dang good and talented team this year. And it's process over results for the most part, right? Keep doing the right things, keep stacking days, keep building the little habits. Eventually it'll pay off, unless it doesn't, because sports are unpredictable. As much as you see the undefeated runs that Nebraska's been on throughout the course of regular seasons, it hasn't lined up for them in the stars at the end. And so, yeah, keep trusting the process. Keep being the program that you are. Find ways to tweak without overhauling something that doesn't need to be overhauled. And eventually, again, you'll like where you stand at the end of the season. It just hasn't been that way for Nebraska for going on a decade now. Craig says, let's say they don't close it out and they don't win a national championship this year. What's your reaction, Austin? Same as it's been. Can't win the big one. And it's fair and unfair because I don't think that the national championship needs to be the defining aspect of this group for all the good they've done for Nebraska volleyball, for all the matches they've won, for winning the Big Ten. I think more than anything, we would look back surprised in 5 years or 10 years and see the success that they had, the accomplishments that they did individually, the matches they were able to play as a team, the venues that they got volleyball into for maybe the first time. And maybe we'll look back and say, how did that team not win a national championship? Maybe like 2004 Duke or 2024 Duke, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we were there with Kirby Smart for a while in college football. You know, maybe we're going to get to that point with Dan Lanning in Oregon. How did that team, how did that group not win a title? I am not at all trying to say it's easy. I am not at all trying to say Nebraska is not working hard enough in its pursuit of a national championship. I've never been on that stage. I can only imagine how difficult it is. But the fact of the matter is other programs have won them. Other programs have cracked the code, and Nebraska hasn't. And so I think this is more of a pining, a longing for a national championship conversation, more so than it is a blame or a denigration conversation. Because they're so close to a national championship and have been, because you've fallen in love with these players on the court and what they've done for volleyball off the court, you want it so bad for them. You want them to not have to be the Dan Marino, you know, maybe the most talented player or players in this case, but never actually won the title. You don't want that to be this group. 4318, appreciate you texting it in. Big B says, Austin, one of the coaches is a neighbor of mine. The way I hear it, the grin on their face when I ask about the vision for the team, it's a big smile. They're ready. Waiting for the glass half full fans. This team is loaded, but it's difficult to win every match. I think it's a national championship year. GBR, that is from Big B. Crow Bates sent in a number of texts here, and you're kind of funny there, Crow Bait, with some of the stuff you're saying. I'll keep that between you and me. 1562 says, what about a Tiger Woods comparison? He came in and changed the sport. Eventually, people had to catch up, and they did. Yeah, but guess what else Tiger did? Tiger won majors. Tiger completed the career slam. And I think Nebraska and these players are well on their way, right? They've won the Big Ten 3 years in a row, tied or outright. That's hard to do in the best volleyball conference in America. To not just be competitive in it, but to win the Big Ten conference, that counts for something. To avoid upsets in the first round, to make it to the second weekend consistently, and, you know, outside of last year, to make it to the biggest stage in the sport, the Final Four in the national championship. Nebraska is certainly collecting Infinity Stones, to use a Marvel reference, but they're missing the one. And, you know, I don't know if they're missing the Soul Stone, where someone's got to get pushed off a cliff for the stone to appear. Metaphorically, of course, please, metaphorically. Or, you know, maybe the stone's hidden away out of sight. Maybe Nebraska's got to make a deal for it. I don't know. But there's something missing. And whether it's a player, whether it's a personality, whether it's a skill, whether it's a play, whether it's luck, whether it's health, whatever it is, Nebraska's missing an Infinity Stone. And they're missing the kind of evil empire Star Wars feel. They're missing the Thanos snap inevitability feel. And again, I think this is going to be a good text from Cody from Broken Bow. As much as I want a natty for fans and for those girls, let's not poo-poo on the dominance they have. Just be happy that Husker fans have a great sports team to watch and root for them, especially with football's mediocrity for over a decade. Yeah, no, I think I've made that very clear, Cody. I hope I have at least. And that I think both things can be true. I don't think you have to be fully in one camp or in the other. because all the wins, all the accomplishments, all the accolades, all the venues, all the events deserve to be celebrated from this Nebraska volleyball team, which is why you don't want them to go titleless. Because even if it's not national championship or bust, it's a failed season, it doesn't feel good for a program to be this good and not win one. Maybe it's Mark Few Gonzaga. Maybe it is, recent Duke under John Shire. Maybe it is, like 0859 says, maybe they're the Buffalo Bills of college volleyball. Always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Whatever it is, this feels like a program on the precipice, and really one that's been on the precipice for more than just Danny Busboom Kelly's tenure. Nebraska's played for other national titles late in John Cook's tenure as well, which is where it'd be so fun to see them rediscover that missing piece, and for this group to be able to attack the next stage, whether that's title defense or professional prospects, with a ring on their finger, a national championship ring. Let's go ahead and go to break. We'll switch up the conversation to Nebraska football. Jake Bachman joins me next on Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and new Sierra and Silverado trucks continue to roll in, and August is a great time to upgrade. Right now, get new GMC Sierras for under $50,000, or get 2.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,500 bonus cash. Visit us in Louisville or anytime at koppelcars.com. Stock number G306367 with approved credit.
If your car has sent you to the sidelines, Eustace Body Shop can help. With gold-class certified technicians, OEM parts, and free loaner cars, Eustace Body Shop is your best choice this Husker season. And with 6 locations across central and eastern Nebraska, we've got you covered, whether you're rooting at home or you're headed to Memorial Stadium. Get a free online quote at EustaceBodyShop.com, and let's get you back in the game.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they're committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perchmerch.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
When your business is ready for its next move, I'm here to help make it happen. I'm Corey Vandeweghe, Commercial Loan Officer at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Lincoln is full of bold ideas and hardworking business owners, and I'm proud to support the people driving that progress. Whether you're launching something new or investing in growth, I'll work with you to find lending solutions that move your business forward. Swing in anytime. I'd love to hear what you're building. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier, furry friends.
Next time you have a heating or cooling problem, plumbing or electrical issue, just one call to Bryant takes care of everything. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Here's your updated 93.7 The Ticket forecast, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Bright sunshine expected today, with daytime highs approaching 85. Winds out of the northwest, around 5 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows dip down to about 65. High temperatures reach up to 87. Tomorrow, mainly sunny. That's your updated forecast on Lincoln's home for the Kansas City Royals. 93.7 The Ticket. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster. Currently, it's 70 degrees.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
Welcome back in to Old School. The people rejoice. There's a new voice on Old School. I'm Austin Norman. You've heard enough of me. We bring in Jake Bakoven. Bach, welcome to Old School.
Oh, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for doing this. I think you're the good person to have these following conversations with. We'll get into some Nebraska football chatter here throughout the rest of this hour, maybe in the next hour as well. First, want to give a big shout out to the folks at Schwiezo Construction, where safety isn't just a policy, it's a promise. Schwiezo is hiring skilled craftsmen, laborers, concrete workers, and steel erectors who value quality work, and a team that has your back on and off the job site. Apply today at Schwiezo.com. 40-plus years strong in business. Schwiezo Construction. Bach, I saw this posted last night. It was from, what's his name? There's my tab. There it is. It was from Ben Fox, who's a senior sports betting analyst at Yahoo Sports. Big Minnesota fan of all things, but okay, we'll let him have that.
Roll the boat.
At BetMGM, their sports books, there have been the top 5 most bet college football preseason win total overs. Number 1, Oklahoma over 8.5. Number 2, Colorado over 4.5. Number 4, UCLA over 6.5. Number 5, Michigan State over 4.5. And number 3, Nebraska over 5.5. The betting public seems to believe Nebraska will become bowl eligible, at least for a third straight season. Interesting company being kept there. Oklahoma off the college football playoff appearance, short one last year. Colorado, a program I would have faded, but betting market seems to be pumping up. UCLA getting a lot of helium with Bob Chesney in year one, Sigs 2.0. We'll see. Michigan State with Pat Fitzgerald there in his first year at the helm in East Lansing. And then we get to Nebraska. And Bach, you mentioned it's been a decade since Nebraska has actually exceeded Vegas's expectations for Nebraska.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and that specifically, that stat, it's kind of been going around. If you wanted to make money the last 9 years, it was bet the under on Nebraska. you continue to do so, and so that puts us in this weird conversation. But it is interesting too, though, because usually I think there's an element to it where Nebraska wins the offseason, right, quote unquote, and therefore there's excitement and reason to believe that this next year's number is they'll exceed it. And I don't know if that's quite happened this year, or at least Nebraska fans aren't ready to just bite at anything that's fed to them. And so but 5.5 is kind of low. I mean, for a team that has got to a bowl game each of the last couple of years, yes, the schedule is hard or more difficult, but there are many people that believe Nebraska, or at least even if you forget believing, according to Vegas, right, even their own kind of odds here, should be favored in the first 5 games. Now, from there, it might be hard to get a win, certainly, but I mean, I hate to do this because, again, you could have this topic every year for the last 9 years ago. You know what? I kind of like the over. It does seem like to be in a good positioning, especially when you kind of look at some of these other ones. Because when I'm looking for, it's not kind of the fan. I think the Dion effect is probably still in the Colorado numbers, right? And I think more often than not, again, the offseason hype for Nebraska probably factors in to the numbers there. But if I would be doing, I'd be looking for a good number. That's why UCLA at 6.5 is kind of surprising. Nothing against Bob Chesney, but a first-year head coach to win 7 in the Big Ten. I have to double check their schedule. Maybe it's just kind of laid out in front of them, but I have a lot of questions about that team. So, when you're looking for a good bet, Nebraska actually seems like a pretty solid bet at 5.5.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's funny. UCLA was actually on both the most bet overs and unders. So people feel really strongly about UCLA either way. And let's have the conversation this way, Bach. And this segment we'll keep it positive. Let's say Nebraska hits the over. The over cashes. Nebraska wins 6+ games. The 3 most important factors, the 3 things that you think will have went right in the biggest way to get Nebraska to the over.
Well, I think Anthony Calandra is going to have to be a big part of that one way or the other. I mean, if you talk about winning the offseason and the Kool-Aid, I mean, he's kind of been at the forefront of that. Coach Rule, as I said several times, he has it. Well, we better see it out there, if for Nebraska. Now, TJ Lateef coming in as the backup might not be as big of a drop-off. So maybe there's, it's not as much on Calandra, but it feels like an awful lot of that, right? I mean, he's got to be a playmaker, a difference maker, because of his play style. He'll probably be a difference maker one way or the other, right? So you need it to go in the positive direction for him. So I would say that number one. With this team, obviously, too, the biggest question that you have coming off of last year and going into this year, and they've done a pretty good job of patching their holes over the Rule era. So you hope that this gets a lot better, and they've certainly focused a lot in on it, was rush defense. And it's interesting because it got pretty leaky late, right? But throughout the season, it wasn't like awful until like a big play. It was the big plays that really gashed them.
Yeah.
So, that could be particularly difficult to overcome, because you're pretty sound on most of your plays, right? And it's just a thing here and there. So we'll see. But the rush defense, certainly in the Big Ten, the front lines, as we're kind of talking about it. So I would probably say that. And then I still think you got to win the special teams battle. I mean, that's a part of the game that sometimes is overlooked and is one that I'm particularly concerned about. Maybe it's not all that big of a difference maker. Maybe it ends up being okay and doesn't factor into too many games. But for me, again, the Mike Eckler effect certainly played a big factor into Nebraska winning games last year. And I think they've got potential on those units to do it again. But obviously the opposite of it is kind of the ghost of Matt Rule teams past. A couple years ago, again, it wasn't bad. It was as bad as I've ever seen a football team have. So, I think that maybe I'm leaning more into my concerns there. But that's one that is pressing for me at the beginning of the season.
Cubsker says, we also heard Jeff Sims had it, so I'm going to believe he has it if he can beat what should be a really solid Michigan State team when we get into the meat and potatoes of the Big Ten conference schedule. Yeah, I think that's fair. I view it this way, Bach. I think you hit 3 things really well right there on the head. Calandria, I think, can be both a floor raiser and a ceiling raiser for Nebraska. He could also lower the floor with turnovers and interceptions. He kind of falls in the middle for me. I think improving the rushing defense, that to me is a floor raiser for Nebraska. No, the stingier you are against the run, sure, it's going to help your ceiling as well. But stopping the run's got to be bare minimum in the Big Ten, right? You should be able to walk off the bus and hold teams to 4 yards of carry or less. And then special teams, I think, again, a floor raiser, helping Nebraska maintain that sort of 6-win level as long as it's not a disaster. You talk about winning the special teams battle, just don't lose it. It's been kind of the moniker and the mantra for Husker fans for special teams for so long. And so those 3 things to me all make sense. If I were to add a couple, if Nebraska is going to not just reach the over and get to 6, but if Nebraska is going to surprise in a positive way, I think the biggest things will be Nebraska is on the right side of the bounces in a lot of ways, and Nebraska rides a wave of volatility, which sounds so antithetical to what that program wants to do, at least from the head coach. But I think if Nebraska is going to not just get to 6 wins, but get to 8 wins, get to 9 wins, and again, I know pipe dream, not predicting it, but if it's going to happen, it's going to be because Calandria both lowered the floor with some risky plays, but hit on enough of them to raise the ceiling in big games and big moments. Same thing with Rob Orich. It's a vanilla scheme. It's simple. Guys get to play fast. Well, raise the floor, and then because guys are playing fast, raise the ceiling with takeaways, with creating those. Because I don't think Nebraska is consistently big enough, strong enough, fast enough across the board against top teams to just play a plain Jane vanilla normal football game. I think if Nebraska is going to and win, if Nebraska is going to do that, we've seen them get out executed. We've seen them get out talented. I think it's a great ideal for Nebraska to want to be that steady, consistent, boring team. You know what they're going to do. You're powerless to stop it anyways. I'm not sure Nebraska's there yet. I think Nebraska, if it's going to raise the ceiling of this team, needs to lean into being the joker, into being the wild card, and to trying to come out on the right side of some maybe small sample size flukes, but certainly some volatility.
It's very interesting because I think what I want to see out of the program in totality is to kind of be that boring Midwest team that's just going to, maybe, even borrow from Iowa, Minnesota, those type of teams, limit possessions, try to win, win the ones that you can, and at least in the games that you're outmatched, right? Because you're probably not going to, maybe a trick play here and there can kind of help keep a game close, but is it consistently going to beat you, keep you in the game against Oregon and Indiana and Ohio State and those teams? It's hard to imagine. But it is also difficult, to your point, and to believe that Nebraska can be that team. And so that's the problem with that is, okay, now you identify what wins in this region, what wins in the Big Ten. Okay, good. But you're in year 4, you're starting, and I don't want to say starting because they maybe had some elements in there at times, but are you as consistent at doing that as the teams that have been doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to beat Illinois at their own game?
Probably not.
Probably. So again, that kind of put you at in this hole of, you either got to be so good at coaching it. And that is a big part of it, right? I mean, it's one thing to say to play like a Midwestern team and kind of, be frontline focused and all that sort of stuff. It's another thing to coach it. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have that philosophy, but they're only the certain coaches that get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting, especially with Callander in there kind of as the wild card. He kind of serves as that in that purpose one way or the other. So I don't think they can kind of be a boring team, so to speak, because he's probably going to go off script here and there. So it is that, I mean, it adds to the interest of what this offense is going to look like. I mean, I don't know if Callander could even stomach kind of being a boring offense, hand it back there. And Matt Rule was saying, kind of try to add yourself into that. But the season win total is what it is because there are a lot of questions with this team and what things are going to look like and what even philosophy to go there. And maybe it is just, don't overthink it. Just try, go out there and play the things that you're best at, that you've hopefully identified at some point in the season. Maybe it's not some grand philosophical idea about where you want to be a couple of years from now. It's just, play with this team. But again, I think when some of these bigger matchups, they are going to have to embrace, hey, let's make it this a limited possession game because we just don't have the horses to try to, go punch for punch with Ohio State and Oregon and Indiana.
And see, that is just a long time debate of mine as well. College football is moving to a slower paced game. There are fewer possessions than ever before, more plays per drive, or at least in a long time. And I think that's a really dangerous game to play for big time teams, right? Game control works when it works. But you saw Virginia become the first, 1 seed to get upset in the NCAA tournament by 16 seed because they wanted to play slow. 1 or 2 things went wrong and it snowballed from there. I don't think, and that's where it's funny too, because I don't think Nebraska has the horses to get into a track meet, nor do I think Nebraska has the oxen to get into a knockdown, drag out fight necessarily. I think that it's just all going to have to line up for Nebraska because they were talented enough, they were good enough, they were ready enough and opportunistic enough when that moment came, whether it was given to them or it was, created by them in some ways, which is where I go back to Calandria. It's another question that we don't know the answer to, but I wonder how many moments over the last, we'll just say 3 years, but 10 years, I wonder how many moments there have been for Nebraska to take advantage of that the program has let slip game to game or season to season, maybe Calandria has similar stats to Dylan Raiola, what he was projected to do. But when do those stats come? What's the game context? Is he able to throw the late touchdown to win the game, like Dylan did against Maryland, and make it not be the only time in his maybe 2 years on campus? Maybe his stats are so much better. Maybe he's, Tommy Armstrong light, but his stats come in different times, right? Maybe he's the guy that has the it factor in Nebraska, comes all the way back from the deficit or wins a big game. Maybe it's not. But Matt Rule doesn't seem to want wild cards. Matt Rule doesn't seem to want volatility. He seems to want game control to be a Big Ten football team, which would make Dylan Raiola a better fit for what Matt Rule was talking about. And yet, now Anthony Calandria is the perfect fit. And you're always going to say the quarterback's the right one. I understand that. But Calandria is either going to have to turn over a new leaf, or Nebraska's going to shoehorn him into something he's not necessarily comfortable being. Oh, but he's a better fit with Dana Holgorsen. So then you're outnumbering what your head coach wants to grow this program into, 2-1. And Matt Rule's fourth down decision-making hasn't screamed riverboat gambler. Hasn't always been, not even going to say consistently right, because it's fourth down. Anything can happen in one snap. I've quibbled a lot with the decisions they've made, when to go for it, when to not go for it. I know they have all sorts of numbers they look at, but you don't have this overarching theory of, hey, this is how we're building to game control. We're getting a pocket passer that we can at least roll the pocket, get him on the move, he can pick up 3 yards. It's a wholesale change, which leads me to believe that they're still just not necessarily on the same page, and I'm not sure they're going to go all the way in on embracing Holgorsen and Calandria's strengths.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that is ultimately, again, kind of what we're talking about. It's just a lack of identity. It's tough to know what this Nebraska offense is going to do. And again, maybe that can be, to your advantage going into some of these games. But eventually we're going to kind of figure it out. But I think that's kind of the primary one of the primary problems with the Rule era so far is what is the identity on offense? Is it anywhere? It's just kind of whatever quarterback you have, right?
Right.
I mean, so it's just kind of changing constantly. And then even on defense, I think you give a little bit more credit. Obviously, it's been a defensive led team under the Matt Rule era, but again, now you're in your third defensive coordinator. But back to your point on offense, it's Holgorsen doesn't necessarily fit into the old game control mindset either. And Matt Rule said as well that he's a little bit more willing to go for it in those situations. It might push him in those situations. So it is a lot of kind of, different strengths that we've seen, put together on this, put together in this room. And again, I think that's going to happen a lot in constructing college football team in these days and ages. But that's why one of the biggest questions here is, can they find a fit? Can they find a middle ground? Can they find whatever it is? It doesn't even have to be completely identifiable, though it would be nice, again, to have an identity, but just to make it work. And you don't know. And that's where I just hope that they know, right? I hope that they have a feel. It's not just, you got to generally have a plan for down and distance situations and stuff. Not just kind of, here's what I'm going to do this time. And I'm just going to, it's like in blackjack when you get a 14 or something, they
Right.
tell you to pick either go into it or don't. Don't just, they're like, maybe. And it can be tough. But I hope at least they have conviction in which way they're going to go and try to mold this offense into, because from the outside, it's hard to tell. But I mean, it's just so many questions with this team, right? I mean, the offensive line, you can do a lot more with a better offensive line. They put money in the offensive line. They've changed the offensive line coach. Is that going to be significantly better? Or what are these wide receivers going to step up from, kind of that 500-yard realm that we've had for the last 3 years? Good, not great. Can you have a difference maker, a playmaker out there? So, just so many questions around this program. And again, I think that partially leads to what we're seeing here. But the biggest thing, again, I go back to with what I started, is just what is the identity of this, of a Matt Rule offense 3 years in? I don't think we can answer.
I know for a fact we can't answer, because it's changed year over year. And being a chameleon is not necessarily an identity. Let's go ahead and go to break. ESPN lists a Nebraska defender as a breakout sleeper candidate to watch for a big year. Coming up at 11, if Nebraska misses the 5.5, if Nebraska does not qualify for a bowl with 5 wins, what, aside from injuries, will have gone wrong for Nebraska? We'll get into that as we continue Old School. He's Bach. I'm Austin. Come back with us.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
When your business is ready for its next move, I'm here to help make it happen. I'm Corey Vandeweghe, Commercial Loan Officer at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Lincoln is full of bold ideas and hardworking business owners, and I'm proud to support the people driving that progress. Whether you're launching something new or investing in growth, I'll work with you to find lending solutions that move your business forward. Swing in anytime. I'd love to hear what you're building. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Meet your new obsession, the Amigos Crunchadilla. Not a burrito, not a quesadilla. The Crunchadilla is a salsa tortilla filled with a unique blend of quesadilla flavors, then crisped to perfection for a crunch you'll crave. Loaded with melty cheese, crispy tortilla strips, and of course, Amigos' famous ranch. Get your choice of 4 boldly flavored meats, like Southwest chicken or chorizo, all topped with bacon. Crispy, craveable, and made to crush your hunger. The Crunchadilla, only at Amigos. Amigos value meals are getting an upgrade with more of the bold, fresh flavors you love. Now we have 9 options for only $5, $6, or $7. With fries and a small drink, these are full meals for a small price. There's something for everyone with the new Chicken Ranchero Burrito or Quesadilla Snackers. Even Amigos favorites like the soft meat burrito or crisp pinto are now in value meals. With a deal this good, we'll be seeing you all the time at Amigos.
Moms already know. It's the one time all summer where everything comes together. The kids are happy. The food is incredible. And somewhere between the birthing pavilion and the drone show, your whole family is together in a way that's hard to find anymore. It all happens here at the Nebraska State Fair, August 28th through September 7th in Grand Island. Visit statefair.org.
Next time you have a heating or cooling problem, plumbing or electrical issue, just one call to Bryant takes care of everything. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Hey Husker fans, Coach Amy Williams here, thanking you so much for your support of Nebraska women's basketball. Season tickets go on sale August 17th, and we want you at PBA with us as we take the next step forward as a program. Our Huskers are hunting a school record-tying 4th straight NCAA tournament bid, and we want you there with us every step of the way. Get your season tickets at Huskers.com, and let's win the day at PBA. Go Big Red.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and new Sierra and Silverado trucks continue to roll in, and August is a great time to upgrade. Right now, get new GMC Sierras for under $50,000, or get 2.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,500 bonus cash. Visit us in Louisville or anytime at koppelcars.com. Stock number G306367 with approved credit.
Nutrition Authority invites you to enjoy internet-crushing prices in the back-to-school blowout. We already offer better than internet pricing, but from Monday, August 24th through Saturday, August 29th, we're slashing them even deeper. The back-to-school blowout on Nutrition Authority. For location information, check us out on mynutritionauthority.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
We're wrapping up hour 2 of Old School. I'm Austin. He is Bach. We'll get back to the Nebraska football win total conversation here to start the 11 o'clock hour. If Nebraska falls short of its win total, what will have gone wrong for the team? Why did they fail to qualify for a bowl? With a text from the text line, I think we'll start that discussion. That is from Big Hoss. Appreciate you chiming in throughout the course of the show. 1562, we'll get to your text here. We were talking about this line a little bit, Bach, of 5.5 for Nebraska. 1562 says, I don't think Vegas is buying all the quarterback propaganda being pumped out of the program. I struggle to see the quarterback propaganda, not compared to where it was before the previous guy got to campus. I mean, they're excited about Anthony Calandria. They're talking him up, but I think there's been the requisite amount of chatter. But I don't think it's been overboard propaganda. I think it's been normal excitement, at least as far as I can tell.
Well, it's interesting. I think, again, it's locally versus nationally. Like nationally, I don't know if Calandria is a household name, right? I don't think it's been propped up in any way to make it so. Locally, I mean, you got to say what like you say. You're gonna talk, and there's gonna be questions about the quarterback, and they've expressed confidence in him. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's been overwhelming. But yeah, maybe one way or another. I mean, after all, they are in Vegas. they might have seen a game or two and maybe have their own opinions.
I would also say I think Vegas doesn't care about the propaganda or the hype. In fact, it's kind of its job to not care about the propaganda and the hype. And I think that when you get that 5.5 number, you're going to get two camps of people. One camp's going to look at the schedule. Ooh, Nebraska's going to, really fade in November again. Nebraska's got a tough middle stretch of the season after they get those first 3 games. Can you find 3 more? We don't trust this team to be upset proof. We don't trust this team to steal an upset and win one that it shouldn't. And so, yeah, I think Nebraska's not going to bottom out to 3-9, but I think Washington's better. I think Maryland's better is the argument from that camp on top of the tough schedule. The other side would be, you're telling me Nebraska's not going to make a bowl game, or that's borderline? Heck, Nebraska can just start 5-0. You can tell me they can't go, 1 for their last 7 with a couple road opportunities, a couple home opportunities. No, I mean, I'm smashing that over at 5.5 for Nebraska to make a bowl game. That to me is why the number is where it's at, more so than quarterback propaganda, would be my understanding of it. But propaganda, let's do a little bit of this. Adam Rittenberg, doing a lot of writing for the Big Ten about the Big Ten for ESPN, did his 51 breakout players for the 2026 season. Nebraska has an entrant on that list, Jameer Khan, of all players. Last year, 10 tackles, half a tackle for loss, a PBU, and 2 blocked punts. He was not rated as a recruit when he went to Southern Illinois. The write-up from Rittenberg is this. Khan, who transferred to Nebraska from FCS Southern Illinois following the 2024 season, made his biggest mark on special teams in his first season as a Husker. He became the first Nebraska player to record multiple blocked punts in a season since 2014, and his second block resulted in a return touchdown against Michigan State. Coach Matt Rule sees some similarities between Khan and NFL safety Budda Baker, one of Rule's favorite players when he coached in the pros. Coach's take, one of our best players last year, Sierra Wright, goes, hey, coach, next year, like you know who your guy is. It's Jameer, Rule told ESPN. He's one of those guys I can walk in the building on a Saturday night and he's probably out on the field doing extra footwork. Jameer is going to play safety for us, and I have unbelievably high expectations for what I think he can do. Khan, of course, making the move from nickel to safety. Interesting to see him as the one breakout player for Nebraska, and that it was him as the breakout player for the Black Shirts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is good to notice, 2 block punts is not easy. Yep. So, if he could be a factor in that and do that, some more, but obviously to be a breakout player too, you got to hit the field regularly on the defense. So we'll see. Yeah, he's not one of the bigger names. I think talk about buzz and all that stuff in camp, but certainly could be a guy that comes in there and fights for that starting spot. I mean, the safety position, you feel good because there's a lot of options, and he's one of the options. I just wonder, when it boils down to who's going to get the playing time, how secure in that playing time are they going to be? Is it going to be matchup based? Some of these guys have different strengths. But good to hear some hype for Jameer Khan.
We'll see what the future holds for that young man. The future holds more Nebraska football win total discussion for us in hour 2 of the show. If Nebraska misses a bowl game, what are the 3 biggest things that will have gone wrong? We'll discuss that and more as we return to Old School, always brought to you by Graham Tire.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Here's your updated 93.7 The Ticket forecast, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Bright sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 85. Winds out of the northwest around 5 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows dip down to about 65. High temperatures reach up to 87. Tomorrow, mainly sunny. That's your updated forecast on Lincoln's home for the Kansas City Royals. 93.7 The Ticket. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster. Currently, it's 72 degrees.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and new Sierra and Silverado trucks continue to roll in, and August is a great time to upgrade. Right now, get new GMC Sierras for under $50,000. Or get 2.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,500 bonus cash. Visit us in Louisville or anytime at koppelcars.com. Stock number G306367 with approved credit.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built upon hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with room for advancement.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
New from Arbor Axe House comes Benny's Battle Barge, the mobile axe throwing adventure. Perfect for festivals, parties, fundraisers, and celebrations. Charter the barge at arboraxe.com or call Arbor Axe House at 402-802-9696. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
Looking for the right utility tractor for your acreage? Find it at Landmark Implement. Shop our selection of used John Deere compact tractors from 1 through 5 series with the power and versatility to track mowing, yard work, snow removal, and more. For a limited time, get 2.9% financing for 36 months, followed by 6.2 for 24 months with approved credit. We've got the right fit for your property and your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or visit us online at landmarkimp.com today and experience the Landmark difference.
Hey guys, it's Nebraska Volleyball Associate Head Coach Jalen Reyes. Catch me every Tuesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. for Serve and Volley here on 93.7 The Ticket as I recap the week that was for our volleyball team and look at the week ahead. That's Serve and Volley with me, Jalen Reyes, each Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. sponsored by Insight Partners here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Nutrition Authority invites you to enjoy internet-crushing prices in the back-to-school blowout. We already offer better than internet pricing, but from Monday, August 24th through Saturday, August 29th, we're slashing them even deeper. The back-to-school blowout on Nutrition Authority. For location information, check us out on mynutritionauthority.com.
At the Nebraska State Fair, you never know what you'll experience. Maybe it's watching your kid fall in love with a baby goat. Maybe it's that first bite of something deep-fried and incredible. Maybe it's the moment everyone puts their phone down because core memories are forming right in front of them. It all happens here at the Nebraska State Fair, August 28th through September 7th in Grand Island. Visit statefair.org.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts, answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln. Your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Into hour 3 of Old School we go. Show brought to you by Graham Tire Company. They're a handful of Lincoln locations. Of course, they're everywhere across the Midwest as well. We here at 93.7 Ticket, based in Lincoln, 11th and O Streets, 1040. Stop by, see us, say hi, grab a cup of coffee. Are not just Lincoln-wide, are not just statewide, are not just region-wide. We're worldwide on our app and on social media. Thanks to everyone around the city, around the county, around the state, around the region, around the country, around the world that tuned in to 93.7 The Ticket. Really appreciate all of you. You can be part of the conversation from anywhere at 402-464-5685 on our starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Bach, that number of 5.5. Nebraska, the third most bet preseason win total over to this point in the offseason per BetMGM. If Nebraska is not going to reach 5.5 wins, if they're not going to reach 6 wins and bowl eligibility for a third straight season, what will have gone wrong? We'll lead this off with a comment from Big Hoss on our starter Heyman Jewelers text line. He says, I would hope that Nebraska didn't focus so hard on the defensive line, and if it's fixed or even just better, that the rest of the roster that also needed fixed now has glaring holes. And I think that this is always a pitfall in the transfer portal era of college football, is that you spend so much time, energy, and in this case, money, resources, in fixing one part of the roster that it's better, but by how much? We'll see. Was it worth the return on investment? There's that phrase again. And then you have backslided another position that you thought you could depend on, and it looks like, hey, you didn't patch the holes over here because you were too busy worried about the holes over there. And so I think that's just a general sort of concern for any program at this point is, where are the resources being allocated? Can we amplify and augment what it is we already do well and not backslide where we're good and just be able to spend money on improving, shoring up maybe some weak spots?
Yeah, it is interesting. And then, but you also have to you have to consider how much did they do in the defensive line room. I mean, did they get enough? I mean, that was a concern for a lot of people is, okay, there's a couple names in here. Are they big enough? Are they experienced enough? All that sort of stuff. So, they did do a lot. I mean, you got a new defensive line coach, new defensive coordinator. So it is a little bit of an overhaul, but that's, again, I don't know what, again, when we talk about not having an identity as a Matt Rule, offense, there is an identity under 3 years that I can understand, which is under Matt Rule has been a giant Achilles heel. First year it was turnovers. The next year it was special teams, and last year it was the front lines, right? Maybe rush defense if you want to lean into that one. Red zone defense if you got a few you could pick from. But so that's my question this year is like, what's the big Achilles heel this year? And hopefully it's not anything, right? At some point, like to that point, is you hopefully can after 3 years in the building and going into your fourth year, have at least everything kind of settled down. And your goal is not to be average anywhere, but if that's the worst it can get to in a certain room, then you should be pretty solid. But again, I would just wonder, I don't know if they've done enough with the defensive line. That's still a question. That was a question at the end of last season, to be fair, too, is like, is this the scheme or is it the bodies? Do they have the players to be better against the run or not? And then, also have to consider linebacker. Like, that's a big part of it too. And they did go out and get 2 really solid linebackers to come in. A couple, more than that, but specifically, Chambliss and Dexter Foster. So it could be interesting. Hopefully they've got a handle on every part of this team.
I think my optimism or biggest reason for hope at the defensive line room would actually be the people coaching the room. Nebraska cycled through some defensive line coaches. Tony Tuioti leaves with the old staff, goes up to Oregon. Been a big loss. Obviously, having Tatum Tuioti, one of the better defensive linemen in the Big Ten, would go a ways. But I think Nebraska, in bringing in Corey Brown, we'll see how that goes. Roy Manning on the edges, but Rob Orich above that as well. I'm less impressed by the personnel Nebraska brought in to the room than the personnel brought in on the staff. And I think the biggest hope for optimism would be, sure, maybe there's some increased playmaking from the new guys. But I think more than anything, it's, does this room fit together better with 4 guys on the defensive line than 3? And it's not as simple as that. You've watched Whiteboard Wednesday. You've ever listened to Jay talk about it. Nebraska had enough bodies on the line of scrimmage, on or around the line of scrimmage, to where it should never have gotten as bad as it did. And that's all fair. But if Williams Nwaneri and Cam Lenhart are playing more natural positions, if Stodmeyer and Whittington and Van Poppel and the Fotu are playing more natural positions, if Anthony Jones is in a natural position, does it just click? Does it just fit better? Does it make more sense where the defensive line, 4-on-5 can do its job better than 3-on-5 with help from more linebackers in the 3-3-5 or whatever it is that looks like. And so I would say in terms of the resources too, I don't know what Nebraska spent on Stodmeyer, on Whittington, and on Jones. Fine. I don't think they're moving the needle for me right now. Where Nebraska did spend a lot of resources, Bach, and where it needs to be, I think, a ceiling-raising group at this point is on the other side in the offensive line. A lot of transfers. A lot of lack of faith, confidence, trust in young guys. You don't go overhaul the offensive line like that if your young guys are ready to plug and play. I don't know the last time when, here's an example, Iowa did that. They trust their offensive line development, and Nebraska's not there yet. Maybe understandable in year one of a new position coach in Jeep Wade. But Nebraska invested far more in the offensive line. Maybe in terms of the coach, the caliber of coach that they went and got, a nationally known, reputable coach there in Jeep Wade to lead that room, and the bodies they got from the schools they got them, than they did on the defensive line inside of the ball. If the offensive line doesn't live up to the price tag, that's going to be a problem. Then you're back to Calandria running for his life, going full Adrian Martinez, and we've seen that story before. We've heard that song before. And that, to me, is a bigger concern in terms of just investment than the defensive line.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, a lot of that, is come to player personnel and who they ultimately were able to land, right? I mean, it's maybe they did take some swings on the defensive line with some name changers, or some game changers, but didn't land them, right? And so,
Yeah.
you just kind of play the results there. But
which is fine because maybe you got that guy last year in Winery with a second year.
Yeah. But, I mean, at the same time, you got that with Pritchett last year, too.
Well,
so.
yeah.
But one way or the other, obviously the line play was the problem last year. And so they've done enough. The investment's kind of an interesting portion of it, but they've done enough. I mean, they've overhauled both of them. I mean, you got a new offensive line coach and a new defensive line coach, obviously a new defensive coordinator, different scheme. So comparing this to last year, I mean, there's similar bodies in there. There's some of the guys that are going to play, but it's going to be a lot different. So you hope that they've done enough there. But to your point, on like return on investment is really interesting, especially when we see these different numbers come out, and then this big argument of, well, is it 23 million or is it 30 million? And you're thinking, well, it's the same guys. Whether it's 23 or 30 million, are you overpaying for some guys that maybe has happened in the past where Nebraska has not done so well in identifying the talent that would come in and help from the transfer portal, and some of your bigger, higher paid players aren't getting as much playing time? And I mean, it's such an interesting discussion because it could be happening here right in front of us again. I mean, Gunnar Gatula is going to be a starting offensive lineman, it sounds like. And for that to be the case, that probably means one of your guys that you brought in at least at the beginning of the year, in Tree Babalati, is not going to start. And maybe that's due to injury. Maybe it's just due to Gunnar, taking that next step. And they've talked about a couple different guys there in that room taking that step, but maybe not to the point of, hey, we're ready to start and put all the expectations of year 4 and needing to win on them. So you hope that the development's going there. But absolutely, I mean, the price tag that they likely paid for some of these guys, and the biggest one is Elijah Pritchett still. And he's got a year under his belt. He started to play better, and I would hope so, because he was playing pretty bad at the beginning of last season with just some of the basic fundamental stuff. We've always heard he's had the body. But then there's the other thing of, like, is he a known commodity now? And he again, in a blowout against Utah, folks will say he maybe had the best game or among them.
Mm-hmm.
But it still wasn't. And something I said to you off air, I mean, there's sometimes when you can just like see it. Sometimes you dive into the PFF rankings and figure out Justin Evans has a good day. Sometimes you can watch Cam Jurgens push an Oklahoma defender 20 yards downfield, right?
Right.
And it's not just that example, but you could see it out there with Cam Jurgens. You see why he would be a second-round draft pick. I'm still waiting. I mean, I see that Elijah, I see the build. I haven't seen the dominance. So, that's still something as far as price tag goes, that they need a bigger return on investment. Is it enough for him to become your starting left tackle? To a degree, but how about if you're paying him that much money to take it to the next, expect the next level of being your best offensive lineman, contending for all Big Ten, that sort of stuff. I think Brendan Black's, a very experienced guy, but
why didn't he follow his coach to Penn State?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're always going to have that question, but, specifically with Mubenga and Tree Babalati, they're kind of spot starters too. I mean, you might have paid pretty decent, and they've had experience with some snaps, but they didn't necessarily take over that position at their previous school either. So there's a lot of investment there, and part of that, again, in your coaches, you have to project what they can do, in the development process the next year, and that's where you hope that all these guys can be solid starters. But I'm not as sold that that offensive line is automatically going to get a lot better. The bigger thing for me is Jeep Wade. I trust and believe in Jeep Wade based on what he did at Georgia Tech. But again, now I'm forgetting where he went, but the Georgia Tech offensive coordinator got hired elsewhere too. I mean, they're looking at him and giving him the prop for why Georgia Tech's offense was so good last year. So, hopefully Jeep Wade's a big part of that, and can get these guys to go, because that's it. When we go back to the kind of the point of the discussion, or where this team failed last year, or where they can do better or reach a bowl game, all that this year, it's the front lines. That was the question going into last year. That was the Achilles heel last year.
That was Buster Faulkner, the Georgia Tech coach. He went to Florida.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. They believe that, that they're going off that same Georgia Tech offense hype from last year that we are.
Yeah. Let's hit the Calandria factor here. I think that's obviously going to be worth talking about. And then Westy, we'll get to your question here before the end of the segment. Obviously, if Calandria doesn't live up to expectations, that's going to sink Nebraska. I kind of thought that would go without saying. But to get to the Calandria element of it, Bach, offensive line will play a portion in that. And then the running backs. How many times have we seen Nebraska quarterbacks be top 2 or top 3 on the team in rushing? I mean, Heinrich Harburg led that team in rushing his year as the starter. And if Nebraska asks Anthony Calandria to be its leading rusher, whether it's by nature of the offensive line struggling and he's running for his life and picking up yards that way, or the young running backs aren't ready, don't deliver, and no one really steps up, the more Nebraska asks Anthony Calandria to run in the designed run game, and the more he's running for his life, I think the worse this team is going to be. Unless it leans into what I'm saying with the volatility. Hey, he's making all these plays off schedule, and it holds up, for 12 games for the first time in forever. But hope isn't a strategy. I don't think you can bank on that. And so I think if Nebraska misses the preseason win total of 5.5 and falls short of a bowl game, it'll be because the combination of the offensive line wasn't as advertised. And of course, injuries play a factor if they come to pass. But injuries aside, the offensive line isn't worth the top dollar Nebraska seemed to pay, and the young running backs don't take a step, leaving too much on Calandria's plate.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And two, I mean, I think to your point, I think Latif's got to be ready. I mean, there's probably going to be a moment. Maybe it's a series again. Of course, we saw this last year with USC when he's a true freshman, and maybe unfair to kind of bring that up, but there's going to be a moment or several games where he's probably going to have to step in just based on Calandria's scrambling and size altogether. So that's going to be a big part of it too, to the injury portion of that. But yeah, I mean, Calandria can't, to your point, be the leading rusher. That would be a doomsday scenario for Nebraska. And part of that too is just he's not Taylor Martinez. He's not going to run for 90 yards on one play, and so I mean he can definitely hurt you with his feet, but he's not a big time burner. So yeah, I mean there's so much on Calandria, but that's to my thought process with Latif too, is within the injuries. How much do you lose if he goes out and Latif goes in? You can run a similar offense, but you just don't want to inherit similar offensive problems like you're saying with if an offensive line's not protecting for Calandria, it'd be the same thing with Latif. Then you have a less experienced guy doing the same thing.
And you're probably going to still throttle the playbook down, because we always see that with the backup, which Calandria's gotten a lot of rave reviews for how he's picked up the offense, and I think that's to his credit. But if/when he goes out and needs to miss time, I don't think Nebraska can afford to pare down the playbook. If in his third year on campus, right, for TJ Latif, if you can't It is
It's
third
second year,
second
isn't
year
it?
on
Yeah.
campus.
It was a true freshman last year.
Okay, yeah, so second year on campus. Thank you. If you can't trust him to run the full playbook, why is he here? Plain and simple. Maybe you got to cover for his arm. Maybe you got to cover for his legs and how they're used. Fine, I get it's going to change a little bit. But you can't afford to be that basic or that vanilla with a backup quarterback. At some point, he's got to be able to handle the mental load or be trusted to handle the mental load that comes with playing quarterback. I don't think TJ Latif's a dumb kid. I've been on this hobby horse for a little bit too, Bach. I know you can overwhelm young quarterbacks with information. I know it's a faster game than they've ever played before. But I think the more you pare down the playbook, you get to the point of diminishing returns, where now the defense is almost keyed in on, hey, we know they have to pare it down, as opposed to preparing for 6 concepts or 7. We only got to prepare for 3. And that makes their job a whole lot easier and the quarterback's life a lot harder.
Yeah, of course, unless you're dominant enough, again, to be able to just do some basic stuff and get it done. But I mean, you expect Latif to take that jump, right? First year to second year. And a lot of that is, mental. That's like, okay, I'm starting to understand that and the speed of the game, kind of adjusting to it. So, but the thing is, if the offense, and, this is, again, with the kind of the question marks around it, if the offense is relying too much on Calandria to keep it formidable, and then he goes out, whether you pare the playbook down or not, you would be in the same situation with Latif, right? Where he's got to be to the level. And that's where I guess my confidence drop would be dropped off, because Latif was solid last year. And again, maybe he's a different player this year, but he was not close. I mean, he had flashes. I mean, he had some scrambles and stuff, but he wasn't close to, hey, I can make up for deficiencies on the offense.
Right. Totally fair. Money G in Kansas is afraid about the Huskers' turnovers possibly being an issue, as in giveaways, or maybe not creating enough takeaways. I think Calandria is going to be turnover prone. It's something he's going to have to work on to keep them down in his return to Power 4 football, Power 5 football. But I think they're just part of the deal. So how do you overcome them? Can you create enough possessions or maximize all your other ones? There's that. I did promise we'd get to Westy's text before we go to break here, Bach. He says, based on your conversation on the defense, what do you think the defense looks like now if Tony White would have never left? And do you think Tony White regrets leaving? Number one, I think Tony White had chances to be a head coach. It wasn't his time. And then I don't know how much of it was Tony White leaving or Nebraska wanting to go a different direction. And, hoisting him out, pushing him out. I don't know if it got to that level. But Matt Rule was certainly taking input and advice from someone who wasn't Tony White there at the end. It was John Butler, who he then proceeded to hire. So whether Tony White was pushed out or just wanted a new, fresh start, it just seems like Nebraska was ready to go a different direction, whether or not Tony White wanted to leave. Would it be better? Would it be worse? Would it be about the same? Who's to say? But I think it's fair, and I think it's worth pointing out, Nebraska made a mistake by allowing Tony White to walk out the door, only to have another failed one-year experiment last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it is to your point, I think, is it felt like there was a with the John Butler hire, it was like, if Tony leaves, here's our guy.
Yeah.
And that just made, so I don't know if it was even intentionally pushing him out. It was just even getting a plan in place. If he leaves is kind of like pushing him out, right? Because now he's kind of thinking, okay, now they're good. I can kind of look for my opportunities here. Obviously, Florida State, that did not go the way that they wanted to. So you talk about regrets and all that, maybe would have liked to kind of keep something. But it's really interesting because then you get to the player personnel portion of it. And that's where I think Nebraska struggled in the 3-3-5 is, did they have the players to run it? Tony White would probably, so you don't know. I mean, they might have had different players, identified different players, had different relationships in the portal to get those guys. And again, you remember with John Butler, it's a one-year experiment, so it's hard to really know. But again, you're getting all these differences. It's the transfer portal era, so you can kind of do this. But that wasn't his defense. That was Tony White's defense. So maybe just kind of thinking, okay, this guy can work here. Hassan Bacola, can work here, and maybe Tony White would have said, maybe we'll go after a different player. So I think that it was going well under Tony White, And I think it would probably continue to do so. And they'd still run a 3-3-5. I remind people the 3-3-5, because people will say the 3-3-5 in the Big Ten just can't work. It did. And it can. There are teams that are still doing it, but you need the proper personnel for it. And so it's tough to say, right? Would they? Because now it is. I do. I think that their players more fit a 4-2-5, which they're going to run. So who knows what they would have done if Tony White would have stayed. I think they would have kept running his defense and probably identified different players out of the portal.
Greg in Michigan, is Orich in over his head the minute Big Ten offenses start running all over the Big Red? That's for Rob Orich to determine. As of now, no, I don't think so. You bring the guy in so he's not over his head, so that he can be a problem solver. And so he doesn't say that he got punched in the face and he didn't know how to respond. That is still hilarious. That's what Nebraska's former defensive coordinator said about how things went down in the Twin Cities last year. All right, who's the biggest villain of the offseason for you in college football? With the season approaching, just 2 short days away, the offseason is almost over. We can get back to talking real football. Who takes the cake? Who gets the gold medal for biggest villain of the college football offseason? Let us know your thoughts on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, 402-464-5685. We'll get Bach's opinion on that when we get back to Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Meet your new obsession, the Amigos Crunchadilla. Not a burrito, not a quesadilla. The Crunchadilla is a salsa tortilla filled with a unique blend of quesadilla flavors, then crisped to perfection for a crunch you'll crave. Loaded with melty cheese, crispy tortilla strips, and of course, Amigos' famous ranch. Get your choice of 4 boldly flavored meats, like Southwest chicken or chorizo, all topped with bacon. Crispy, craveable, and made to crush your hunger. The Crunchadilla, only at Amigos. Amigos value meals are getting an upgrade with more of the bold, fresh flavors you love. Now we have 9 options for only $5, $6, or $7. With fries and a small drink, these are full meals for a small price. There's something for everyone with the new Chicken Ranchero Burrito or Quesadilla Snackers. Even Amigos favorites like the Soft Meat Burrito or Crisp Pinto are now in value meals. With a deal this good, we'll be seeing you all the time at Amigos.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
At the Nebraska State Fair, you never know what you'll experience. Maybe it's watching your kid fall in love with a baby goat. Maybe it's that first bite of something deep fried and incredible. Maybe it's the moment everyone puts their phone down because core memories are forming right in front of them. It all happens here at the Nebraska State Fair, August 28th through September 7th in Grand Island. Visit statefair.org.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they're committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perchmerch.com.
When your business is ready for its next move, I'm here to help make it happen. I'm Corey Vandeweghe, Commercial Loan Officer at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Lincoln is full of bold ideas and hardworking business owners, and I'm proud to support the people driving that progress. Whether you're launching something new or investing in growth, I'll work with you to find lending solutions that move your business forward. Swing in anytime. I'd love to hear what you're building. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Looking for the right utility tractor for your acreage? Find it at Landmark Implement. Shop our selection of used John Deere compact tractors from 1 through 5 series with the power and versatility to track mowing, yard work, snow removal, and more. For a limited time, get 2.9% financing for 36 months, followed by 6.2% for 24 months with approved credit. We've got the right fit for your property and your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or visit us online at landmarkimp.com today and experience the Landmark difference. Service.
Do you ever feel okay in your current job and profession, but wonder if there's a better company that can offer more? Vision Mechanical is now hiring for journeyman plumbers and HVAC service technicians. Vision Mechanical offers top-of-the-industry wages, 100% paid health, disability, and life insurance, 401k with employee match, and paid holidays and vacation. Vision Mechanical believes in craftsmanship, teamwork, and building a better future, one project at a time. Apply today or learn more at visionmechanical.net or email Ron at vmech.net.
Next time you have a heating or cooling problem, plumbing or electrical issue, just one call to Bryant takes care of everything. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Nutrition Authority invites you to enjoy internet-crushing prices in the back-to-school blowout. We already offer better than internet pricing, but from Monday, August 24th through Saturday, August 29th, we're slashing them even deeper. The back-to-school blowout on Nutrition Authority. For location information, check us out on mynutritionauthority.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Hey Husker fans, Coach Amy Williams here, thanking you so much for your support of Nebraska women's basketball. Season tickets go on sale August 17th, and we want you at PBA with us as we take the next step forward as a program. Our Huskers are hunting a school record-tying 4th straight NCAA tournament bid, and we want you there with us every step of the way. Get your season tickets at Huskers.com, and let's win the day at PBA. Go Big Red.
Friends with MedElite Urgent Care in Lincoln remind you that the need for blood continues daily. Unfortunately, our blood banks are extremely low. Our community and our country depend on life-saving donors like you. You are eligible to donate every 56 days, and with each donation, you save up to 3 lives. Please go online and schedule an appointment to donate blood today. Thanks to MedElite Urgent Care in Lincoln for making this message possible. ER skills without the ER bills. Check them out today.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School, final half an hour of the show. Austin Norman, Jake Bakovic here with you. Talking all things Nebraska football and the win total. Had a good hour and a half on volleyball to start the show. Plenty of Nebraska football here. We were going to do the biggest villain in college football, and in fact, I think we will still have a chance to get to that here. I want to get to this from 1562. He was the person that texted in. I don't think Vegas is buying all the quarterback propaganda being pumped out of the program. We get a heck of a text here, and I think it's worth going over at least parts of it. Is it really that hard to believe that there are people like me out there that simply don't believe what we're being told by the football program? Literally 10 years they've been lying to us, so you'll have to excuse me if I've checked out on all their BS. You can keep believing everything they say if you want, but I'm certainly not the only one that has lost respect for them. Number one, 1562, you are not wrong in your opinion, in your stance. If this is specifically related to the quarterback position, so be it. Actually, Bach, we're gonna pivot because we go to our Honda of Lincoln hotline, where we are joined by DP down in Dallas. DP, welcome in. How are you this fine Thursday morning? Just kidding. Rudy's passing him through. Let's try this again. 3, 2, 1. Let's try again. Deep in the heart of Texas. Are we joined by DP? Happy Thursday morning, DP.
You are, in fact, joined by DP. It's the only time you'll be able to say that around me and not have me yell things back at you.
What's the scene? What's the vibe down there in Dallas?
Guys, can I tell you that these are – think back to Memorial Stadium and how really vacuum shaping, just changing the whole thing, those days. This is one of those days. Stood on the star, and I didn't privately rub the bottom of my feet on it, but then I kept it moving. Florida's on the court, at the, the court sits from 30-yard line to 30-yard line. It's in the middle of the field. The big screen looks fantastic. Spikes under the lights. We want to thank, again, the folks from Insight Partners. They're the volleyball partners for us and the NIL partners for Andy Jackson and Bergen Riley throughout the course of the season that help us with Jalen Reyes and Manny Moss and others. 4 teams. 80,000 plus seats sold. This is going to play. Like, I wasn't sure if it was going to play, but this is going to play. It's indoors, so a lot of the risk is out of the way. It's set up well, but 4 teams, 4 top 20 teams are going to come in here and just slug it out. There's $1 million in play. We've broken down based on winning first serve at 7 o'clock. Guys, this is a thing. Like, we knew it was a big deal, but coming into town and to see plane loads and airports filled with Husker fans, amazing. This is just amazing.
Nebraska gets its fair share of the credit, DP. We know this is a program that's really pushed the envelope and been one of the leaders in the sport in this way in playing these events. How much credit do you give to your point, the other 3 top 20 teams for being willing to do this, even though it's not, for keeps in terms of the season, it is for keeps and NIL money for it being an exhibition?
Well, here's the curiosity for me. One, SMU is the host of note, and that's pretty amazing. But then you would ask the next question: why wouldn't you do this with A&M, Texas, SMU, and Nebraska? Like, why would SMU front runner and the leader and the pioneer? But yeah, there's going to be a great Nebraska crowd. But my goodness gracious, this is big. This is big. I don't know, right, what color the building's going to look like. Just from traveling in and getting to the airport and the hotel, it was tons of Nebraska crimson and green, like the scarlet and green. There's no other way to say that. That I fully expect it to be SMU and Nebraska as the brunt of the crowd base and the attention. So there's that.
Yeah, and obviously the Nebraska volleyball is going to have opportunities in Vegas and Wrigley. Hopefully there's going to be several kind of jaw-dropping moments for anybody that's there and just watching on the volleyball stage here. But is there kind of a historic feel there too? Because you're literally watching the growth of the sport right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, this is one of those plant the flag moments. Not only for Nebraska, because it reaffirms everything that Nebraska thinks and knows to be true, which is that's the hub for college volleyball, matter of fact, for women's volleyball in the country. But to be a part of this and to have this, if you're going to do something big in women's volleyball in the country, Nebraska better be a part of it. And it should be like one of the first seats at the table, even in the state of Texas. Like if you said you were doing this at Wrigley and you wanted to invite folks, no, you're doing this in Texas where there are 6 quality programs that you can rattle off right away. And they still chose and understood that they needed Nebraska in play. But this is a game-changing moment. I would imagine that more of these exhibition-type situations will happen in big stadiums across the country. And that, Nebraska will end up being invited to most of them.
We got the hype video released by Nebraska, released on Bergen Riley's social medias today, DP. And the tagline, it's narrated by Bud Crawford, for those who haven't seen it, is essentially that Nebraska is your favorite team's favorite team. Your favorite team has a show they can't miss, and everybody knows who that is. Just how big is the spectacle of Nebraska volleyball becoming?
Well, Harrison and I went to Big Ten volleyball, Big Ten media, and that was the discussion. No, when you get Wisconsin and Penn State and Ohio State to talk about Nebraska first, right? That it's the looming giant. It is the standard of good business, quality play, star power, coaching, legacy, legend, all of those things being tied to Nebraska, and rightfully so. So we're not, they know that if you're going to measure the game, the college volleyball game, the women's college volleyball game, Nebraska's one or two of the first names that come into play no matter the season, no matter what, whether it's player, coach, legacy, fan base, money. Nebraska's in this space, and it's just really cool to watch. This building's going to be filled with people coming here to watch women's college volleyball. That's never, I mean, it's been said once before at Memorial Stadium. Now you say you're doing it big. You're not doing this at Joe's Stadium. This is the mothership. This is Jerry's world, man. And the building, when I tell you it's going to play, it's going to look great on TV, and it's going to be packed.
You just got to leave the Cowboys' lack of championship stink behind in Dallas when you get on the flight from Vegas, of course. I mean, every team except the Cowboys have played in the NFC Championship since, 2010. So just keep the Nebraska volleyball legacy and pedigree going on down there in Dallas. On our Allo Fiber VIP line, it is DP chiming in ahead of Spikes Under the Lights. DP, who are you interested in watching tonight for Nebraska with the offseason all but at its conclusion? Of course, it's an exhibition tonight before over the weekend Nebraska gets going for good in Vegas. Who are some of those key players that you have your eyes on for Nebraska volleyball tonight and in this opening week of the season?
Well, I mean, this is the weird thing when it comes to Nebraska volleyball. There's so much depth and so much potential, and there's still, for all the things that we know, there's a whole lineup of folks that we know. We know how they play in big time games. We watch them be successful, so we have some sauce for the meat. But then there's some new talent in the building, and if you're going to ask about, Skylar Pierce, and you're going to ask, I mean, you've got to run. That second group of the ones that we know less about could actually compete in this event. That's how good, how deep this team is. And then let's not miss the thing. I'm more intrigued about how Danny Busman-Kelly and Jalen Reyes and company and staff manage this deep roster. Like this, who do they call on and when? That's what this is for. That's the beauty of this thing, is to see what the math scientists have done back in the lab. That's what I'm looking for. The coaching and the schematics, that's what I want to see. Chemistry, it looks like everybody will be able to play. You've got Olivia Malk and company that will keep the second group. And the chemistry is really good. We saw that in the red and white game, that the chemistry is everywhere. It's really good. Again, eyes everywhere. This is going to be spectacular.
What are those challenges in managing chemistry and managing rotations, or snaps, as we would say in football? What are the challenges, and what are the obviously depth is a big benefit, but what's the biggest challenge for a coach in that management process?
We've been listening to Jalen Reyes throughout the off season, the improvement season, and his big thing is that they compete so well fluidly, no matter who they're playing next to or who they're playing for, that they feel pretty good about this. Coaching staff feels pretty good about whoever they call on, whenever they call on them, it'll be the right answer. It'll be the right button to push. That the players have accepted the fact that, team first, team over everything, and not getting caught up in the ego of, my minutes on the floor and how many swings I get, and how many passes, I get to make. No, this team is purposeful. And I think in the practice and the work in the lab, that before we get here, that's the stuff that intrigues me. And I think Danny Busman-Kelly has done a great job of managing this quality of talent and this quality of person. I think this is a good group. I think they really love each other. And I think it'll show up in the play.
Obviously, this is, again, kind of a different event, and you think about motivations coming in. It's always funny when you ask about, pressures of different games. In Nebraska volleyball, there's always pressure to win. But now with kind of an NIL pot out there, the massive amount of fans that are going to be around, Nebraska might have a little bit of advantage in that they've had, maybe a few players on the Nebraska Volleyball Day from 2023 back then. But do you think that there's going to be any different approach or maybe nerves going in this game, not just for Nebraska, but for everybody in front of, probably the biggest crowd they've been in?
No, I just like Kitty Coley, head coach from Penn State, and she was saying the simple thing was just to keep the thing simple. Just be focused. Keep the simple things simple. Control what you can control. You don't control the crowds. You don't control the environment. It's volleyball. And she said she has talked to her girls about just playing volleyball. Make plays. That's literally what this comes down to. And the team that makes the most plays will leave here with the most success.
There you have it. That'll be Spikes Under the Lights coming up tonight. Of course, full coverage of that event here on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll have post-game coverage of that with Manny Monson coming up after it's all done. A full preview show coming your way at 6 o'clock tonight as well. Live on our Allo Fiber VIP line from Dallas. It is DP on the scene for us. Stay tuned to social media as well for coverage from down there. DP, thanks for the call. Thanks for chiming in. Enjoy the Spikes Under the Lights and what's to come for Husker volleyball.
Thank you for making time, guys. Appreciate you. Hold it down, boys. Hold it down.
That is what we do. There he goes. That's DP on our Allo Fiber VIP line again down covering Spikes Under the Lights for Nebraska volleyball. Before we get out, I do want to tell you about our friends at the Lincoln Children's Museum bringing back their game day play dates as football season is back. The Lincoln Children's Museum has the game plan for your youngest fans. It's game day play dates that give kids ages 5 to 12 their own unforgettable game day while you enjoy the action inside the stadium. Drop your kids off 90 minutes before kickoff. Pick them up 1 hour after the game ends. New this year, purchase a season pass for a special rate. Book 4 sessions. Receive your 5th free with discount code football. Space is limited. Advanced registration is required. You can visit lincolnchildrensmuseum.org to reserve your spot for Nebraska football home games today. We'll go to break, wrap up hour 3 of the show, wrap up the entire show with some thoughts from the Starter Heyman Jewelers text line next on Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Why did Pete Ricketts spend millions to get himself appointed to the U.S. Senate? Ricketts knows D.C. is paid to play. Since going to D.C., Ricketts has increased his net worth almost 30%. He voted to lower his own taxes and made a killing dumping shares before a looming government shutdown. Meanwhile, he's opposed every serious attempt to ban congressional stock trading. Nebraskans can't afford lawmakers enriching themselves while our costs go through the roof. Tell Senator Ricketts to support the Ban Congressional Stock Trading Act now. This communication paid for by Nebraska Groundswell.
When your business is ready for its next move, I'm here to help make it happen. I'm Corey Vandeweghe, Commercial Loan Officer at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Lincoln is full of bold ideas and hardworking business owners, and I'm proud to support the people driving that progress. Whether you're launching something new or investing in growth, I'll work with you to find lending solutions that move your business forward. Swing in anytime. I'd love to hear what you're building. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and new Sierra and Silverado trucks continue to roll in, and August is a great time to upgrade. Right now, get new GMC Sierras for under $50,000 or get 2.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,500 bonus cash. Visit us in Louisville or anytime at koppelcars.com. Stock number G306367 with approved credit.
Looking for the right utility tractor for your acreage? Find it at Landmark Implement. Shop our selection of used John Deere compact tractors from 1 through 5 series with the power and versatility to track mowing, yard work, snow removal, and more. For a limited time, get 2.9% financing for 36 months, followed by 6.2 for 24 months with approved credit. We've got the right fit for your property and your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or visit us online at landmarkimp.com today and experience the Landmark difference.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
New from Arbor Axe House comes Benny's Battle Barge, the mobile axe throwing adventure. Perfect for festivals, parties, fundraisers, and celebrations. Charter the barge at arbораxe.com or call Arbor Axe House at 402-802-9696. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Do you ever feel okay in your current job and profession, but wonder if there's a better company that can offer more? Vision Mechanical is now hiring for journeyman plumbers and HVAC service technicians. Vision Mechanical offers top-of-the-industry wages, 100% paid health, disability, and life insurance, 401k with employee match, and paid holidays and vacation. Vision Mechanical believes in craftsmanship, teamwork, and building a better future, one project at a time. Apply today or learn more at visionmechanical.net or email Ron at vmech.net.
When something breaks, you want someone you can trust to fix it right. Empire Repair is now open in Waverly and ready to serve our community with reliable auto repair and maintenance. From routine service to bigger repairs, our team is here to keep you on the road. Stop by Empire Repair in Waverly or call 402-786-2224 to schedule your service today. Empire Repair, proud to serve Waverly.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they're committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perchmerch.com.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, back we go to Old School. Big thanks to GDP for joining in from Dallas, getting set up for Spikes Under the Lights for Nebraska Volleyball. Austin Norman, Jake Bakoven back with you. We'll talk college football's biggest villains of the offseason with Jay Foreman tomorrow. So keep those thoughts on the back burner. We'll get to that. Bach, we were going to get to that text from 1562. Again, the relevant portions of that text are this from our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Is it really that hard to believe that there are people like me out there that simply don't believe what we're being told by the football program? Literally 10 years they've been lying to us. So you'll have to excuse me if I've checked out on their BS. You can keep believing everything they say if you want, but I'm certainly not the only one that has lost respect for them. Again, your opinion's your opinion. Say what you need to say, feel how you need to feel. I maybe have gotten good at or have trained myself to always just take off a certain percentage of the optimism or even pessimism from what a coach is saying. More often than not, though, it's optimism. You know, there's a responsibility in some ways to spin things and put the positive look on things. I think that's what a lot of us naturally do anyways. And I don't want to get on a coaching staff for being optimistic, for trying to speak life into their team and present a public message that they believe that, you know, they have a good enough team to compete, you know, while still keeping them hungry. And so I'd almost go the other way. If at this point you're falling for propaganda or you're buying so far in, either you have an endless supply of hope and optimism, and I credit you for that, or you're falling for it hook, line, and sinker. And it's more on you than it is the coaching staff. Because what do you expect a coaching staff to say about the team? Yeah, this year's going to suck. We're not good enough. You know, we're in it for the long haul. This isn't the year. Don't come this year. Come back next year. They're never going to say that. You expect them to say, you know, he's got some major issues. You know, he's got some stuff to work through, and we didn't know we had this much road ahead of us, you know, to work with him out of the transfer portal. They're never going to say that. You have to understand the position that they're in, why they're saying what they are. And ultimately, it's on this coaching staff and it's on these players to prove what they are, for better or for worse. So I'm not going to get mad at the coaches for saying the company line or the thing that we expect them to say. I'm going to put more blame on the people that hear it for, you know, believing it for so long and not taking it with a grain of salt, forgetting where the message came from to begin with.
Yeah, and again, it just depends on how serious you want to take it all. I mean, if you want to be a fan, that's short for fanatic. You're kind of supposed to just go crazy and believe your team's supposed to be better. But if you don't want your heart to be broken, I mean, at a certain point, it is probably your responsibility to understand coach speak, understand their job of selling the program, and the confidence that they have. But the other thing is too is, I think we always get this idea that they know, right? And they can have an idea, they can compare it to previous off seasons, but not one. There's major college football coaches. Every one of them does not know what their team's final record is going to be.
Yeah.
They probably all have confidence, or at least feel like they've put in the work, heading in the right direction, because they don't know what they don't know yet, right? So it is, yes, part of it is selling it. The other part is belief, and I do think they believe in some of the things they say. Now, again, certain words, the elite stuff that's around the program. All right, stuff for anything to be elite on a 7-win program, but. So I think there becomes a level to that. But yeah, I mean, I will say, I am in that camp though too. I mean, I've heard several coaching staffs through Nebraska's last 10 years or so, kind of prop up this player, say this guy's one of the best here, this and that. And it's like, okay, just because you're the coach and maybe you believe that and you're trying to inspire the confidence in them, doesn't mean it's necessarily going to come to fruition. So, yeah, I mean, I mean, if you don't take what the coach says with a grain of salt, then I think that is on you.
Westy says Husker fans that aren't at least a little delusional aren't true fans. It's funny. Capture says this is why I take it a game at a time and don't go full natty or bust mentality. They need to prove that they can get anywhere close to that stage first. Derek in a car says great discussion, guys. GBR. Really appreciate that there, Derek. If you're a native Nebraskan and grew up with Husker football in your life, of course you're excited. How could you not be? The flagship university is a big part of our identity. That's a good thing. Hope springs eternal. And for myself, each year is a renewal of that excitement. Just 9 days away from kickoff and inching closer for Nebraska against Ohio. Scott says, hell on wheels. Didn't buy it back then. Still don't buy it now. Of course, referencing the defensive line comment. I'll throw this out there, Bach, and not the note I necessarily wanted to end the show on. But the other part of this is if Husker fans aren't necessarily taking the coach at his word and taking it as gospel truth anymore, then it's on the head coach to not get pissy and defensive about it, or the coordinators when they face the media, any assistant coaches or any players. Just because the fans aren't, cheery, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, rose-colored glasses optimists doesn't mean they hate you. Doesn't mean they're not rooting for you. Proof is in the performance. Proof is in the pudding, all that stuff. And so I don't want to see Nebraska go on the defensive if it thinks that, the fans aren't supporting us enough. They don't love us enough. What did we do to deserve this? Well, you didn't win. It's not wrong of the fans to want to see, or fans are always going to ask for more. They're always going to want to see more progress than you've given. I understand Matt Rule's frustration about, hey, we've improved the 3 years I've been here. And that can all be true. But it's not becoming of Matt Rule, if he ever gets to this point, to go fully on the defensive, attack the fans and say, where's the buy-in? Why don't you appreciate what I'm doing for you? He's got to understand the nature of fandom too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's done a pretty good job of that. Yeah, I hear, national interviews of, kind of talking about we didn't come here to go 7-6. We've taken those steps, but there's still more work to be done. And so, I mean, I think it is understanding. I mean, you got to go back to it. As much as Husker fans hate losing in blowout fashion, it hurts more for the competitors and the coaches because they're actively involved in it. So you understand that, and then you understand sometimes they do have some blowback that maybe I should say bowback because Bo, specifically kind of turned on the fans at times and stuff like that. But yeah, so I mean, I think they've done a good job of that, but there could be a few times when it gets messy again this year, and they're going to have to respond accordingly.
Augie says you could always believe the coach speak with T.O. and company. Well, because guess what? They backed it up. They didn't have to say much. They kept it simple. 1562 chimes back in. And I hope you understand 1562 why we broke the parts of the text we did. I hope you also understand the other part of that text at this point is really the one-off. And so you can understand a little bit of that. So with that, we will put a bow on Old School with a big thank you to all our sponsors. Title sponsor, of course, being Graham Tire. Got their locations around Lincoln all across the Midwest that they've been serving for more than 75 years. More than just tires, they do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. It's Graham Tire getting you to the places that matter most. For Bach, I'm Austin. This has been Old School. Stay tuned. Adam Carricker Show next. 93.7 The Ticket. TicketFM.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $195 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1009974. $195 per month lease for 36 months with approved credit. 7,500 miles per year. 10,000 due at signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 8/31/26.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Here's your updated 93.7 The Ticket forecast, sponsored by Bryant Air Conditioning, Electrical, Heating, and Plumbing. Bright sunshine expected this afternoon with highs around 85. Northwesterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies tonight, lows dip down to about 65. Mainly sunny tomorrow, highs around